up, fellas? Y'all muted.
What's up, bro?
What's going on, Ben?
Oh man, nothing much, man. Living,
Good to
enjoying that
see you.
marriage. Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's been good. God's been good, man.
Yes, sir. Let's see what. See if this. Tyson up here politicking to get folks on, and he ain't even on here.
Yeah, I seen that in the message. I was like, man. So what you been up to, man?
Woo! Just walking out this here faith journey. You know, we and you know, because I'm running my startup, and we are the house that we were leasing, we were evicted out of, and so
Oh my God.
bit of a crazy journey, because God, you know, God called me out of my full-time job at the beginning of last year, and have been calling me to run my startup full time. But you know, I got a you know, we're a family of five, and so I wasn't feeling it. To be honest with you, like the I was running from it. You know, the first 6 months of the year, I was running from it, and then right on my birthday, July 16th, the contract, I had a long-term contract that I was working with a company out of California, and they ghosted me, man. And God spoke to me clear as day and said, I don't want you looking for a full-time job. I don't want you working a long-term contract. I want you to run U-Balling full-time, and I'll bring you freelance projects. That boy done fell off. I guess Tariq is on here. There he is. He back in the building.
Yeah,
Tariq must be lifting weights. You in the gym? Are you in the grocery store? There he is.
Just, you know, kind of going through the things the last couple of weeks. So
yeah.
I'm listening, brother. I'm listening to what you got going on. You know.
Yeah. Nah, man. Yeah, we've been on this journey for it's been like 16 months. 16 months running a business, and you know, we never lost a single thing. Lights got shut off for like an hour, and then, you know, God would immediately give us the finances to get it turned back on. So he was showing us that he was truly funding this whole journey. He would just he used different people. Like, you know, one time he used Leon. This is so funny, man. He used Leon one time Leon shot me like $223 or $227 or something like that. And I was just like, that's a really strange number for him to just randomly, like, I didn't ask him. I hadn't said anything like, yo, we need to get money for blah, 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 whatever. And he just out of the blue send it to me via Cash App, right? And he puts on there, for the reason, he puts a little emoji like the, shrugging his shoulders. Like he had no idea why he sent it. Well, I get it. I immediately go to our church's website to give our tithes. And after we gave our tithes, what was left was, to the penny, one of the bills that needed to be paid that day. So God gave us the money to pay the bill plus tithes. It was just like, it was outrageous. And he did that time and time again until and then back in August, back in July, I didn't have a project. Well, I had a project that I was working on that was going to pay what we needed to pay rent and all this other stuff. And then the company, the CEO of the company, they're a small company, went on vacation, and I'm waiting to get paid out and everything. And so I hit her up. I'm like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, well, I'm on vacation. Can it wait until next week? And so I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever. And so then they came up on financial issues and all this other stuff, and they weren't able to pay me. So we get into the second month. What's up, Don? We get into the second month, get into August, and now we got an eviction notice. Now, we've been here before, and God had come through when the constable knocked on the door early in the year. God had come through, and within the same hour that the constable served us the papers, we were able to pay, both months, the fees and the court fees. Well, this time he had something different in mind, and so that was when we went to court. Everything, got the judgment against us, had a week in between. We still had the opportunity. We were just like, okay, God, like, I got this money sitting over here. I'm waiting on this money, and this money is literally what we need in order to pay our rent and to be 100. The money never comes in. So August 26th, we move out of our house on the eviction tip into my in-laws' house. So it's almost been 3 months now that we've been in with my in-laws, and after we move out, then God releases the money. So the money that we would have needed in order to keep the house, he finally releases the money, and we got the money, but we can't get the house back. And so he puts us where our back is up against the wall now, right? Because both of us have shot credit because, startup founder, I'm not real. I don't have a salary yet. So I don't have paycheck stubs that I can take and go to an apartment complex and be like, yo, here we go. This is how much I make and all that other stuff, because it's so sparse and whatnot. And now we've got eviction judgment on our record. So it's been to say that it's been a faith walk, man. I think it's kind of an understatement, but I don't know if Tariq, did you catch the message from Transformation Church from yesterday?
Stating faith.
Stating faith.
I'm actually gonna have to watch it tomorrow morning during cardio. They actually blasted it today, so I didn't get a chance to watch it yet.
When you hear it, you will understand. Literally every part of our journey since last October, since their series Planted Not Buried, every single Sunday has been either where we are or where we were the week before. It's been the exact words that we've needed, that have just kind of guided us in confirmation of, this is a journey that I set you on. Yes, I know it's crazy, but I called you to it. And Sunday's message was, Man, I can't even tell. I was driving because my in-laws live in Paris, Texas. So I'm in Paris, Texas right now. So I'm driving from the office in Plano to the house to their house in Paris, listening, and man, when I tell you crying, driving, listening to that message, man, it was just like God know your address, man. He know your address. You stupid. Play 223 on a pick 3. Ain't nobody said nothing about that. But I'm glad you asked that question. Let's go ahead and pray real quick, and then we'll jump right in. Father God, I'm so grateful for these men of God who have set aside time for you. As your kids, I know I echo their sentiment in saying, God, will you show up? We may have missed you today. We may have missed hanging out with you today, spending time in your presence today. But would you show up? Would you show up here? Let us experience you in a way in this conversation that would affect us the same way having an encounter with a lion would affect us. That we would leave utterly changed, whether it's from revelation or it's because you healed or it's because of a host of other things. Whatever comes when you come into the room, that's what we want. In Jesus' name, amen. So interestingly enough, we're talking about faith tonight. And let's see, somebody message. Yeah, that drive is about an hour and 40 minutes from Plano to Paris. So I drive into the city Monday through Wednesday usually, and then I'll work from a coffee shop here in Paris. On Thursday and Friday. But yeah, it's been an interesting experience. That's the reason why I've been in Denny's every Monday night, is because I'm loud when I talk, and there's really no place for me to retreat to if my in-laws are moving about and things of that nature. So I just post up at this Denny's. But anyway, I want to do a study. I want us to focus on studying tonight. This isn't a message now. I do have some things that God has been sharing with me that I may get a little winded on, but really my goal and my focus is to make this a study. So that means us all, if you have a study Bible, get your study Bible out, so we can jump in and dissect and not just look at scriptures at face value, but that we can look at the original text, see what the author's intent was writing it. When you get it, go to Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11.
11.
So what?
Is it Hebrews 11? Is it the faith?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. That's where we at tonight. We're talking about faith. And now to kind of set up what we're talking about. There's one statement in the midst of Hebrews 11, because it's 40 scriptures total in chapter 11, but there's one at the beginning that is so interesting to me that I want to address tonight, us as men. I'll just read from the beginning. Here we go. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. For by it, the people of old received their commendation. By faith, we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. By faith, Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which he was commended as righteous, God commending him by accepting his gifts. And through his faith, though he died, he still speaks. By faith, Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death, and he was not found because God had taken him. Now, before he was taken, he was commended as having pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please God. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. Donovan's in the room. By faith, Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear, constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir of the righteousness that comes by faith. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive an inheritance, and he went out not knowing where he was going. By faith, he went to live in the land of the promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. By faith, Sarah herself received power to conceive, even when she was past the age, since she considered him faithful who had promised. Therefore, from one man, and him as good as dead, were born descendants as many as the stars of heaven, and as many as the innumerable grains of sand by the seashore. These all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of the land from which they had gone out, they would have had opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. And it goes on, like I said, it goes on another 24 verses talking about by faith. But the thing that I want to go back to, and I don't want us to miss, is that, and without faith, it is impossible to please God. I want you to jump to Matthew chapter 8 with me, because I want to cross reference something. Matthew chapter 8, and verse 8. And I'll read that real quick as you all get there. But I want y'all to mark these. And said, I'll jump up to 5. When he had entered Capernaum, a centurion came forward to him, appealing to him, Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, suffering terribly. And he said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion replied, Lord, I am not willing to have you come under my roof, but only say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I too am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, go, and he goes, and to another come, and he comes, and to my servant do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he marveled and said to those who followed him, truly, I tell you, with no one in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you, many will come from east and west and recline at table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the sons of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Jesus marveled. Jesus was amazed. Jesus was astonished. He was surprised. This caught him off guard. This was something that created elation in Jesus. It was the faith of a centurion, a man who had no covenant with God, a Roman soldier, but who understood the laws of the kingdom. I want to step back and I want to lay a thought out there, and we're really going to dive into this to look at some things, because I know you guys have some great perspectives and some great abilities to really dive into the text as well. But I want to present a thought to you about us as men. I believe that it's really difficult for us to believe that we can please God. It's impossible to please God when we believe that the God that we serve is not a God of pleasure, but a God of punishment. And Paul said something that was very important for us not to pass up, and for us to understand. In Hebrews, going back to Hebrews 11, verse 6, and he says, and without faith it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. It's one thing to believe that he exists, but if you don't believe that he rewards those who seek him, if you don't believe that he rewards, then you will never put yourself in a position to please him. And this is the thought behind it, and I'm kind of hovering over the text. But see, faith requires this thing called trustworthiness. So in the Greek, this word, when Paul says, and by faith, in this passage, in this writing, that word means trustworthiness. So it means that you absolutely believe a thing because of who you're believing it about. So faith is because of who you're believing it about. I believe that I'm going to get my dream house because I'm believing that God is gonna give it to me, because not because I'm worthy of receiving it, but because he is able to give it. I trust that he's gonna do it. I don't have any part of the equation aside from harboring the faith. Every man and woman of God in the Bible, go back and look at it. The faith that was required to believe that God would, not that they could believe. God didn't approach Sarah. He didn't say something to Sarah because she didn't believe that she could do it. He said, "Is anything too hard for God?"
No.
Hey,
Go
you
ahead,
what?
Tariq.
I was gonna say something about that because that's what I'm kind of struggling with right now. Um, I've been talking to Tyson and Joe about it at work, but have you watched the sermon from Pastor Tim Ross he did at Transformation Church called Training Faith?
Yep.
Um, that one hit hard because I was telling him how I felt like I'm in a season with a certain person to where faith is being required. Like this person is basically Abraham at the scene of sacrificing, and I'm playing the role of Isaac, where I just have to have faith and take it. You know what I mean? And we're battling the situation, and we keep on failing the test because we'll take it and we're like good for a couple of days or so, and we go right back in it, and but that spirit of discomfortness, even though everything is perfect, doesn't leave.
Mm.
And, you know what I mean? And and it's like how Pastor Tim was saying, like, if you gonna keep taking this test of faith until you pass it, if you really truly say you have faith in God, and then when you do pass it, every time the Lord blesses you with something that you pray for, He usually requires the most thing you love back, just to see if you're obedient and loyal. And when you do give it to Him wholeheartedly, almost like tithing, you don't complain about it, then He gives it right back to you. You know what I mean? And oh man, hold on, man, I gotta show y'all the hoodie though, man. The hoodie kind of fierce
Yeesh.
though, right?
With the Jesus
Yeah,
image.
Yeah.
yeah, man, the abstract Jesus. So yeah, bro. So like that's where I've been at, and then plus like faith was kind of being messed up because like I was separated from my ex-wife for 2 years, but I
Mm-hmm.
finally filed like a divorce.
Yeah.
So now going through that roller coaster, and like my kids, like they love me, but they don't really have the best relationship with me because they stay with the mom, and she's got that mental disorder, but their relationship is
Mm-hmm.
great because she treats them in a certain way that when I'm very strict and I want them to think with reality, and down there they just want, you know what I mean? I give it to
Yeah.
you like it was 2 weeks ago. Oh, the day I came back from watching Training Faith,
Yep.
we actually drove down to Tulsa.
Okay.
Me and her, we got convicted because we went to Tulsa to go see Mike Todd together. It
Mm-hmm.
ended up being Tim Ross. I was like, man, Tim Ross is my pastor in Urban. I drive 5 minutes to see you every day, and now I drove 4 hours to see you.
To
So
see you.
it was crazy though, is because like he was there and he was
That's
looking at
funny.
everybody, and next thing you know, he sees me out the crowd, right? Because I know I got baptized over there too, 3 Sundays
Right.
ago. And he sees me there, and he kind of nods his head, and he just moves everybody out the way. Comes, and he just gives me like a 2-minute hug, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Who is this guy?" But we're
Who is
talking.
this bright skinned dude with this good hair?
Yeah, yeah. This other people like, yeah, he got good hair. I'm like, I come back, and I check this out. Like that same night, I was supposed to do like a podcast with a brother of mine about God and marriage and relationship, right?
Okay.
Um, I barely come upstairs for a little bit. I don't know what happened with my ex-wife. Come back downstairs, she slashes all 4 of my tires. All,
Oh man, boy.
and I come downstairs, and she denies it and everything like that. So the next couple of days, I'm over here like, God, Lee, I don't have the money to be buying stuff like this. And then
Jeez.
she admits to the fact that like she did do it, but I can't call the cops on her because then my kids are gonna lose their mom because she's running from certain things. So
Yeah.
like the past 2 3 weeks, this has been like hell because here I'm being, I'm having to have faith that everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not, and I'm struggling because I'm not willing to listen to God, of being faithful, of giving, fasting from Kara, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not. And then I'm also not being obedient about being lenient and graceful with my ex-wife because all I want to do now is just like kind of like make her life hard, which kind of sounds
Right.
messed.
Give it to Jesus, man.
And I've been trying and the thing is like I'm also prepping for like a bodybuilding show and it's 3 weeks out, right? So
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
I'm depleted. I don't have no food. Um, everything pisses me off.
Right.
There's times where I'm at work, dude, and I literally will leave because I'll tell my manager, hey man, I'm upset. It's better for me to leave than for me to pop off at somebody. Because when I pop off, I don't play new school games where I talk to people. I politely
Right.
ask them,
You just gonna get.
let's just go downstairs and take care of it real quick.
Yeah.
We all
You finna
pop
feel
off.
these bones.
And Tyson, no, that's why like every time Monday comes around, I've been running from this. Like I know if I talk to you guys, I'm gonna open up.
Yeah.
The brotherly conviction of me
Come on.
having like true, like not having true faith, but struggling with it,
Yeah.
and you know, and even when I'm at work right now, I got two cats behind me, and like just go back and forth. One is a agnostic slash atheist, and the other one is just he's a Christ believer, but they just go back and forth
Yeah.
trying to preach to one another, but then they still meet with the eye to eye of like certain ethnic supremacy and stuff. And I'm sitting here like, why is this relevant?
Hey, Mark. He talking about Ken, Mark.
I'm getting that out, man, because it was like whenever you're talking about faith and stuff, man, like I just want to be honest, like, you know, sometimes I feel guilty, like I'm not being the servant that I should be, or I'm not being the son that God requires me to be at the moment. I like I'm failing at it. And I can stay and I can admit to that. I don't do cookie cutter like I'm preaching all the time to the people, but my life is just so great. When I mess up and I
Hey,
feel
let me
like
say this though. I don't mean to cut you off, dog. Actually, I do. But let me say
Actually,
this.
you do mean to cut him off. You're talking about I mean to cut you off. That's exactly what you mean to do.
But Tyrek, man, bro, you first of all, you the homie.
yeah,
Feel me?
yeah.
Second of all, man, like I said in the chat, man, you should have smacked baby girl with that hoodie, man. All her demons would have fled, bro. She would have been transformed by the virtue of all they got to wear with that hoodie. Just get with that all that polyester and cotton and bruh. Like,
He got the whole right there, man.
I thought that needed to be said out loud. So go ahead, brother.
Nah, man, you know how many people like Tyson? I sent Tyson a picture of my face before of what I've gone through in the past, and you know, and I still have to battle all that right now too. You know, you're talking about faith, and sometimes, man, like my faith is like so there, but it's like Mr. Lucy knows exactly what buttons to push for me to start doubting myself. Like, oh, do you really want to give 3 weeks of fasting between this girl? What if she stops loving you after 3 weeks? Do you still want to have faith like God's gonna protect you from your ex-wife because she clearly does what she wants and you don't put her in jail? So what are you doing? You know, are you scared? Are you scared to take it? You know what I'm saying? It's just, there's just a lot of things that I've been kind of like staying away from everybody, reading the word, doing everything on my own. Then I told Tyson, I was like, "Now I'll be on today because I've been kind of running from it for a while." But it's crazy that we just talking about it today.
Nah, it's all good. Look, Tyson can't say nothing. He did the same thing to us earlier this year.
Who?
What I do?
Got him.
Man, y'all shooting shots tonight.
Hold
Oh,
up.
he went put this hoodie on. He went put his hoodie on. Hoodie night.
I ain't want, you know, I know I've been MIA on y'all boys, but you know, I knew y'all was gonna want me to open up, and I wasn't ready to open up. So yeah, it happens to all of us. But the thing that I want to encourage you and Tariq is that this is the encouragement is that at every level of your life, every moment of your life, you are at a level of onion, a layer of your flesh being pulled back that is getting in the way between you and your God likeness. You looking like God, you experiencing more of God in your life, there is always a layer until you die. There is always a layer between you and God that he is trying to pull back. So the reason why I say that is because one of the promises that God gives us, one of the promises that Jesus gives us is one of the greatest promises that we overlook on a consistent basis. He says, for in this world, you will have trouble. That's a promise. That's a promise of God. Just like the promise that, you be fruitful and multiply, all these other 300 and some odd, 3,000 promises that are found in the Bible, that is also one of the promises. And we forget about that trouble is required in our walk because he is continually buffeting us and has us in situations that will squeeze us. See, we're toothpaste to him, and he wants to know what's inside the tube. And the only way for it to come out is if you squeeze it. Mm-hmm. So as there comes a time where there's a requirement from you, but then there are other times where where the only thing that's required to come out of you is love. Because there's a difference between when you have authority over a thing. See, Jesus was talking about authority, having greater authority over something when he said turn the other cheek. Mm-hmm. Because if a 7-year-old, if my 5-year-old daughter walked up to me and as I went to pick her up, she bold face slapped me, just straight wide hand slapped me. Who has the authority? Who has the authority to create more harm? The believer or the non-believer? Who has the authority to do the most damage in a situation? And that's the reason why Jesus said for us to turn the other cheek. When you have the authority to do so, do it. When correction is needed, give correction. But when you have the authority to turn the other cheek, turn the other cheek. And it doesn't make you any less of a man. It makes you more like Christ to do it in the right situations. He's not calling for weak men and weak women. He's calling for those who have meekness, who have strength under control, who recognizes the authority that they walk in is greater than the one that's challenging them. And that in that moment, I have the greater authority, I have the upper hand, and I'm giving you grace. And you may not recognize it right now, but there's going to come a time that you're going to recognize it, and it's going to be like hot coals over your head because you're going to see me, and it's going to burn you up. It's going to burn you up that you treated me the way that you did when revelation comes to you, that you were out of line. And what are you going to do? You're just going to say, hey, ain't no big deal. We good. Come here. So I recognize that you feel like you're in a loop of going through this time and time again, but it's incumbent upon you to recognize, when do I have the greatest authority? And if I have the greatest authority to create the most harm, then that's when I need to choose to be the meek person in the room, the one who is bridled strength in the room, who brings the authority of Christ in love, through love, that subdues environments. And that's when, it doesn't mean it's going to change everything in 5 minutes. Doesn't mean if it's going to change everything in a month. It just means that you have the likeness of God and that it is penetrating the hearts. Go ahead, Donovan. Ask a question. Don't live in the room. Don't live in the chat room.
First off, bro, get me off stage. No, I just put it in, man. You have the greatest authority and the greatest offense. The height of your authority reaches its pinnacle at the greatest offense, and I think that's a tough situation to deal with, because like you said, you're dealing with a spouse, and this is all about faith. you're dealing with a spouse, man, who knows how to push her buttons. But my thing is that when your feelings override your faith, sin and calamity is inevitable. Like when
Yeah.
your feelings override your faith, that means that you have more belief in what she says about you than what God sees about you and what
Ooh.
ability to do.
Ooh, hit him with it.
That means that you can't really accomplish the peace of God and contain who He is in you because what she says about you holds more weight um,
Mm,
and more power than the word of God. And I
mm,
think people with the slashing your tires and stuff like that, let's just be real. Stuff like that make you want to put hands on her. Like, let's just
Yeah.
be honest. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. Like, you wish you could just hop in the spirit and slap her and disappear and come back and be like, what happened? That was a ghost. That wasn't me. Like, you want to handle because your thought process is like, you're trying your best to be the best man that you can be, and she can't see that, and it seems like she's trying her best to make you fall. But I think it goes back to the issue at hand. Like your battle really ain't really. It's not really with her. Like your
mm,
battle ain't really with her. If she's
mm,
yielded herself to the enemy and the enemy's devices because she's given herself over to maybe frustration, angst, and she's taking the power out of God's hands. Because check this out, her feelings is overriding her faith. And so whenever we
Mm-hmm.
see that the enemy come in and suggest that what you're thinking is greater than what God's ability to do for you, the stronger to overcome. And so now you have both of y'all operating the same way. And you know what I'm saying? Y'all are basically canceling each other out. And so my thing is, in that situation like that, if faith is really the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things are seen, what does God see about my situation? If she gonna do all that, like you said, it does take a lot of meekness and strength under control to just walk away. One of the things that I was looking at today was looking in Psalms 18 when David was crying out to the Lord, and immediately, bro, when he was in Psalms 18, he started giving God the credit. But then when he started giving God the credit in Psalms 18, he started going in and telling the Lord, look, man, I'm getting handled. And unless you come in, I'm gonna fall through. Like he started in saying, like, my God is my rock, in him I take refuge, my shield, my horn of salvation, my stronghold. I call upon Adonai, worthy of praise. But then he goes down to 6, step 5, and he says, cords of death have entangled me, cords of hell have coiled around me, snares of death became before me, and in my distress, here's his faith. I cried out to my God from hell. And he says, from his temple, he heard my voice. And then he goes into this whole thing talking about how literally God stopped what he was doing, heard what he was going through. Literally, when you read Psalms 18, man, it'll trip you out the way God invaded his situation because he believed that God would save him because he was his rock. And literally talked about God made the earth tremble and basically the sea, the bottom of the sea presented a hole in it just so he could rescue his son. And then he said something that was key here that I think is for you. He said something in verse 22. He says, for I have kept the ways of God. I did not turn wickedly from my God. For all his judgments are before me. I did not put his rulers away from me. I also had integrity with him and kept myself from sin. So God rewarded me for my righteousness and cleanliness from my hands and his eyes. And he said basically because of his faith and trusting in God, his trustworthiness, no matter what happened to him, literally you get the picture of God crashing David's life to put to death whatever it is that was ailing him because he trusted in him, bro. He went through hell. Whatever David was talking about in Psalm 18, I don't know if he was talking about a wife, enemies, getting them hands put on him or whatever. But it looks like God stepped off of his throne, stepped on an angel's back, invaded the earth just to solve his situation. And it was because of his faith. It was because of his faith. I was reading Psalms 18, man. He was like, it was tripping me out. But then not Paul, but David goes back and he says, man, it's because I held fast to what you told me. I held on to it. I didn't let go. I didn't allow it to overpower me. Even though my situation and how I felt, I still believe you are who you said you were because you're trustworthy. And it's something about declaring that God is trustworthy that caused him to move. If y'all go back and read Psalm 18, you start to see in the first 15 verses, bro, God literally parts open the sky, bro. Like he stops, like God's providence. He invades time, bro, just to help David. Like he stopped everything, kinfolk, for one person. So if God can do that for David, even in your situation, imagine what he'll do for you if you just, you know what I'm saying, like you said, turn the other cheek. Not saying you don't understand what she's doing, but on the enemy's hand and hold on to God for dear life. Not in fear, but in faith. And God, and I really believe, man, God will invade the situation. That's what men do. Because you don't have the power to do that, kinfolk. That's through the Lord. You feel what I'm saying?
But I mean, I'm just being honest with you. The faith part is being distracted by how she behaved towards me, but the real faith issue is coming with me and the other current person that I'm talking to fasting from each other. You get what I'm saying? So that's the majority of it. So when you spend time with someone for a long time, and all of a sudden, and you got a relationship where it's basically perfect, nothing ever happened, but all of a sudden now you're called into like, hey, in order to grow together better, I need you to grow in me better first by yourself. That's what's being called, and I guess that's what we're having struggle with. So battling that with her first, of like not being able to text her or communicate, especially going through this competition, and like she was there from the beginning to where now it's not. And the last few weeks I got to do it all by myself, and then it's like added pressure with my ex-wife doing what she's doing, and then different dummies behaving the way they want to behave around me. It's just like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Hey, let me ask this. Let me ask this question, Tyreek. What do you that pull or that strain that you feel in your heart when you are away from this young lady? Um, why do you think that creates a little anxiety for you?
well, I think in my entire life, when somebody always told me they loved me, they either hurt me the most or they tend to leave because they're not really
It's
they never
real,
exemplified love the way it should have been. So since she's the first one who has shown that, and when it's not around anymore, of course, it's being missed.
right?
My wife always says, I loved you. Like, girl, you beat me for 8 years. I don't know what kind of love that is. Um, but I still take it. It's like when a parent tells you, I spank you because I love you. Really? Like, what the hell? Like, there's a certain degree to where you could say that. So that's where it's more. So that's where the doubt comes into where like she's what do you say? Like she's gave me all types of verification, affirmation, whatever you want to call it, and say, hey, dude, like maybe this is a time for you to go with the Lord, and I'm gonna go with mine, so I can be a better woman for you. You ever thought of that? I'm like, oh, okay. So all that, and she was like, it's only just 3 weeks. I'm gonna see you in a little bit, and I'm gonna still see you in the gym. But when I'm away, that's when Mr. Lucy wants to come talk to me. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, you ain't that good of a guy that somebody could stay away from you for 3 weeks and then still love you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because
Get
it's
a
been
meal.
like that forever, and not just with my ex-wife, but my dad or whoever you can think of. And I kind of told you about that. I'm a second hand to everybody in a sense. So that doubt does come over me now because my kids are thinking that their mom. I think about it like I told you when my ex-wife headbutted me in front of my kids didn't even budge and run towards me. They ran after their mom, watching me bleed, watching my nose bleed, drip all over the floor. They didn't even be like, "Daddy, are you okay?" They just ran after their mom and said, "Mom, come on."
Nah, man, I feel you. I feel you.
When that type of love is always being reciprocated back to you, and when you experience something completely different, and then now you have to like sacrifice that because like I prayed for it and God gave it to me finally, but I was like, I gave it to you. Now you got to give it back to me, buddy. Let me see where you at. I'm like, no, I don't want to give it back.
Right, that's real. I dig your honesty on it too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Um,
Man,
and you may not know this, man, but you low key preaching to the choir when it comes to a lot of that. Um,
pretty sure I am.
yeah, cause Because for me, I came up with very, very similar issues, incredibly similar. And what you're dealing with, uh, some abandonment issues, bro.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
you're definitely dealing with some. That's why that validation feels so good. And on the
Right.
cool, and on the
I hate to
cool,
look in the mirror
man.
right now.
That's why. That's why relationships, for a lot of brothers, but men in general, are so dangerous because that validation can be everything in the beginning,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
And it'll be the thing that the devil uses to tear down your heart's altar to the Lord and put your woman in his place.
Yeah.
Don't act like that ain't that bad. Come on, man. You feel me?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
feel
that's
me?
what I'm saying. Yeah, it's true.
And so, me and Donovan have talked about this at length, man, over the last year in terms of just just the dynamic that gets created uh, um, when when there's an addiction to your significant other, when you become, um, um, what's my word,
Dependent.
codependent.
Yeah.
That that codependency, man, it's so common in relationships. I'm gonna tell you how common codependency is. Codependency is so common and so subtle, brother. It will disguise itself as oneness in the church.
Mm.
You got married folks that are codependent and
Yeah.
don't even think anything wrong with it because they, in their minds, they're one flesh.
Right.
Bro, that's how prevalent it is, but that's also how dangerous it is. What your girl told you, now what her motives are, I don't know, because I don't know her, bruh. You know what I'm saying? She might got a big booty. Praise God if she does.
What?
But
You said
but on the
what?
cool, yeah, bro. But check it out. But what she said to you though, Tyreek, bruh, she put that real in your life, boy. That was the Lord. That was the Lord, bro. Oh yeah, I'm a real one, Jay. I like how you laughing too, boy. I like that. But but yeah, man.
Costa Rica's response is that. Is it
Yeah,
what?
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah, yeah,
hold
yeah.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Is
Hold on,
Tariq
hold on.
still here? Because you can't be spitting his fire. He ain't listening.
Yeah, he there.
Yeah, no, he ironing his pants.
Well, yeah, I don't see him.
He's
Say.
spraying he's spraying the
There you
stapler
go.
on
Yeah,
him, bro.
man.
He
You
right,
better be
he
listening,
right there.
Tyreek.
No,
Hey
I'm
man.
listening, bro.
You don't
Hey,
want
hey,
too much
listen.
from me,
Hey,
dog.
listen. So check it out. I'm gonna tell you why, man. The Lord was speaking through her, bro, because this is exactly what you called to. See, what you need is a woman that'll complement your life, but not validate you to the point where you get a sense of self and self-worth from her. All of
Yeah,
that is supposed to come from the Lord, bro. So this 3 weeks or however long, man, hey, she might be gone for good. Who knows? I don't know, bro. These 3 weeks, the time that you've been given, the space that you've been given to seek your God, bro. See, listen,
yeah.
Tyreek, when you came on the scene, bro, you came out spitting fire. Man, you
Straight
hopped up
up.
at Solera like,
Facts,
man, I'm a Jesus follower, man,
facts.
and it became clear to everybody around you, man, that you were
Yeah,
anointed and that the Lord was using you and moving in your life, bro. That,
Yeah.
bro, can't no chick give you that, bro.
That's
That's what
real.
you, bruh. Oh yeah, bad, bad. Yeah, bruh. Listen, what
That's
what
good.
what you've been blessed with is authentic sauce, and it comes straight from God.
Mm-hmm.
But bruh, you gotta protect that thing, bruh. Because what
yeah,
you'll forget is that God is the one who delivered you and is walking with you, and start thinking that one of his blessings, a woman, is what is sustaining you. And that is not the truth. Don't no woman sustain you, bruh. Don't no woman make you. Don't no woman make your day, bro. You Tyreek, bro. You supposed to be a Muslim right now, boy. Hold up, I'm about to get bit, fam.
Man.
Being
Yeah,
my
Donovan.
brother.
Bit, bro.
Yeah, Donovan.
Hold up, bro. Bruh, I
Hit him,
don't
boy.
know nobody. I don't know nobody like that, bruh. And you telling me some little mama come in your life and shake your world like that? No, no, not at all. Look,
But the
and
thing
listen,
is,
and I'm not undermining the
yeah,
gravity of your situation at all. I'm just trying to get you to remember that you are the lion that God has called you and created you to be,
Remember
bro.
who you
Here,
are.
here he go, taking off his clothes. Here he go.
man, it's hard.
Here he
Yeah,
go.
bro.
Hey, see, this is a big rich town.
Yeah, man.
Like,
So from
that's my
the
only
far.
problem. I can't have good hair. I can't take off my clothes.
Look, Tyson, don't get mad because your apartment too cold for you to have your tank
But
top on
hey,
right now.
Tyreek, man. Me and Mills have chopped it up about that, man. And I'm finishing up my divorce process right now. And one of the temptations that I deal with is, I'm gonna tell you how the enemy worked, man. Going through this divorce process, man. I had one of my ex-girlfriends hit me up out of nowhere maybe 2 weeks ago. This is a girl who I dated before I dated my ex-wife, out of the blue. You know what I'm saying? And she started telling me stuff that she was going through in her marriage. Listen up, and I'm talking to her, and I realized in the conversation, I say, this is a trap. I said, and one of the things that I really, really realized is that I noticed that there was codependency in my marriage. I noticed that what I thought that I was receiving from my wife in terms of being wholeness, it wasn't wholeness at all, bro. It literally was a trap, because the reality was, when my wife married me, my mom and dad had gone through a divorce. And she felt like I was all she had. And Jeremy was there from the beginning. So she cleaved to me, and however she could hold to me and hold fast to me. There was things I knew about her that I just knew. The one big issue I had, we talk about feelings over faith, I couldn't keep Junior in his pants. And so it was overriding how I was feeling and what God was saying about my situation. My wife ended up getting pregnant at the time. And so what rose up in me, one was abandonment issues. I said, well, I don't want my child growing up in the house. And I still loved her. But we talk about good, better, best a lot. Me and Jeremy have talked about this thing since 2008. She's a good woman, but she may not have been the best for me at the time. There was a lot of brokenness that I had on the inside of me. Now, fast forward 7 years now, me and my wife have gone through so many different issues. And the big thing that I see in her is she feels like she's wasted 7 years of our marriage, right? And she feels like she needs to go out there and see things and do things and feel like she's not getting what she needs from me. When the reality is she wants me to be a father to her. I can't be a father to you. I can't be a father to the broken issues and daddy issues and all that. Now, hindsight 2020, when I'm looking back at this, and now this other woman that I saw who's an ex that came out of nowhere, I'm noticing a cycle. And I said, God, wait a minute, you must be healing some stuff in me, because you wouldn't bring somebody from 2005 back up now. It's going to be 2020. What's going on? So I want you to notice where Satan is suggesting your wholeness at. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, because this woman is now speaking things that your ex-wife is not speaking about you. And she knows stuff, way more stuff probably about you than your wife does. Be very, very careful in this conversation. I'm saying to say this. There's somewhere on the inside of your heart, somewhere, where, like you said, there is some abandonment, but there's a place that God needs to fill, and he needs to affirm, and he needs to build up at. There's a hole somewhere. And until that part is filled, it doesn't matter the woman that you're with, she can leave and someone else come back. When you were speaking about your ex-wife and her, the only thing I kept hearing was, there's a part of him that's broken. There's a part of him that's broken. He needs to be careful. Women.
Hey, she even tried to come back at me a couple of days ago, like, hey, try to kiss me and all that. I said, hold on, man. What are you doing?
Well, here's the deal, bro. If a person is robbing, if a person is robbing your house, and they come in through the same part that you leave open for the past 7 years, they know how to get back in the same crib. So all she doing is coming back through the same door that's unlocked. So until you lock the doors and put away with it, she keep creeping back in. If I leave my door unlocked, bro, and I leave the screen door open, and somebody come in and steal my TV,
That's lit.
I can't call 911 and say, hey, she stole this. Bro, you should have locked your doors and closed the windows and put the blinders down so she can't get there. All she's doing is doing that. The Bible says a man without control is like a city without walls. I'm not saying you don't have control, because I know you have control, because I hear it in your spirit. But there's some place in you where there's a discipline missing, where she keep hopping the wall like a hurdle, saying, "Oh, I got him. Oh, I got him." And until you go and examine yourself and do an introspective inventory on, say, "Hey, where's the door open at in my heart?" She gonna keep coming through the doggy door like a dog, bro. Coming in, eating, dipping back out. Coming through eating, dipping back out. And here's the funny part. She is going to now paint an image and show other women how to do the same thing to you. So now you're going to recapitulate and bring the same cycle of women into your life. They're going to come with bigger butts, bigger breasts, smaller, bright skin, light skin, dark skin. And you get so strung out of getting a cycle over 10 and 15 years where you will waste 15 years of your life trying to find love in the broken places where the enemy is trapping you at. So I'm saying it to say this. You're going to have to be very, very, very strategic. Right now, you don't need to be in a relationship. That's what I really want to tell you. Because it's too many doors that's open for you, man. There's a high place that the Lord has called you to. Bro, there's so much wisdom on you, bro. The stuff that you talk and you speak, bro, is uncommon. Dudes don't go around spitting and speaking what you speak, bro. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I'm not gassing you up. Because if you was a fraud, I'd call you a fraud in front of everybody on the chat. But you anointed, bro. You feel what I'm saying? And it's a gift that's inside of you, bigger than what you can see. But check this out. You can't see what God says about you, bro, until you let God fill that hole that's broken. Right now, bro, that same girl that's earlier looked good and she's affirming the issue in you right now. Let me ask you a question. Once that place in your life is filled and it's strong in that area, you might even want the same girl that you with right now. It's like, wait a minute, you can't fill that void no more. Why do I need you? That's why I say you really have to be careful, bro, with where you are right now, bro. You were called deeper than what you can imagine. 3, there's some hurtness in your previous marriage that you drag into this relationship. So you might find yourself making her pay for what your wife did. She deserved that either. And it'll come out subconsciously in relationships, how you treat her, how you subject her. And 2, this is where the spirit of Leviathan, Jezebel, and Ahab are, man, because y'all will start pacifying each other based off codependent, toxic cycles, and wonder why you can't have a relationship that's pleasing to God. Oneness, bro, and being married to a woman and being a spouse is not as hard as we think it is in its beginning, bro, because you don't even have a covenant. You're not even married with her yet. So if you got them issues right now and you're dealing with it, it's time to put track shoes on like Usain Bolt and dip. Sorry, dip. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. And I'm not sitting up here saying, bro, I'm not sitting up here saying, bro, it might suck to feel it, because the reality is you might be afraid to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. Here's the deal. I don't know you, Tyreek, but there might be a part of you that's afraid to be alone. I'm gonna tell you this because here's the deal. I had to realize that there's a part of me that's afraid to be alone with God. In my situation right now that I'm coming out of, and I said, God, why are you taking things around me? What's going on? He said, I need to get you alone. I need to get what's in you out of you. And I'm not going to add to you and give to you and build a platform on anything. I said, well, God, I can live off of this, and this. He says, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. That means that until you can stand on every word in faith and not out of fear, false emotions appearing real, that's subjecting you from abandonment you did from your father, bro, you're going to keep recapitulating the same cycle, bro, and you will not only damage you, but you'll damage your seeds that are standing before you. They going to be okay, bro, but until you get better, they can't be great. And that's real, and that's 1,000, bro. That's the realest I can spit it, kid, bro. I'm being real, bro. I'm saying it because I love you, because I've been there and I've gone through what you've been through. And a lot of these cats on this chat know me, bro. I done been through it. I'm coming out, kinfolk. I don't want no female right now, bro. Because until God can fill me all the way up, bro, I don't want no more scallywags, no bottom out the tree. I don't care how good you look, kinfolk. I've learned my lesson, bro.
I wasn't with somebody for like a whole year and a half.
How long you been divorced?
So I've been separated for almost 2.5, 3 years. Are
you married? No. He said, how long you been divorced, dog?
How you been divorced?
How long you been divorced?
Like fully divorced?
Yes.
It's in the process.
Okay, so you still married. So technically, you're engaged in a relationship right now, and you're dating someone, because we got to let scripture be scripture. Technically, you're engaged in a relationship right now, which technically could be a form of adultery. So And you don't even need to be engaged in no one. And here's the deal, bro. I'm not on you. I'm for you, and I'm walking with you because I've gone through the same situations, bro. And my wife, I can tell you right now, my wife right now, when we separated, she slept with 5 different men and a woman. I have not cheated. I have not engaged. I have not committed adultery. I have not done none of that, bro, because I know one thing, bro. It don't matter what she do to me. God is looking at how I respond to her. God is looking at how I respond to her. And God has blessed me like Psalm 18 because of my faithfulness. So I'm saying this to you. You married. You ain't separated. You married, because when God looks at you, he sees her. So there's the attachment and there's the issue. So the girl you with right now is only pacifying your ego and allowing you to stay in sin. So now I'm your brother. I'm finna drag you out. You need to dip, kinfolk. That ain't for you. You still married, kinfolk. That's the reason why you're going through what you're going through.
That's the other situation is like, it's not even for me. It's she also gets, like, for example, she told me straight up, like, my flesh wants to be with you, but the spirit keeps telling me it's not time to be with him. So
who, your wife or the girl?
The girl.
The girl.
So I told her,
bro, Delilah and Jezebel gonna say whatever they need to say to get your attention.
Hold on. That brother said your wife or the girl.
Because here's the deal, bro.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Right. No, here's the deal. I'm gonna be real with you, bro.
Where I'm coming from, though.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. But what I'm saying is nothing. No,
let him finish. Hold on, let him finish, Donovan.
Okay.
So and what you said right there is where I fully caught myself one day, and I told her, I said, even though everything seems perfect, what if this uneasy feeling is because I am technically still married, and if I was divorced, then maybe the spirit of this discomfort that you have in your heart, because I'm not listening. It's kind of like this, I'm not listening to the Lord telling me, hey, you need to wait till you're divorced. It's like, well, if Tariq ain't gonna listen on that part, I'm just gonna give it to her because she gonna push him away until he gets a divorce. And because she keeps telling me, like, I don't know why I get the feeling, but I just get the feeling. And that's why, like, for example, like, the whole 3 weeks came about is because my show's on December the 14th.
Okay.
Which is in 3 weeks, but my divorce actually gets finalized on December the 12th.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And it's just how weird how, like, there's a validity, there's everything there, but she continuously tells me over and over again, this little fasting that I'm asking for you, I don't think it's really for me. I think it's more for you to depend on God, so you can be the man who can lead me by the time if we have a relationship again.
I feel that.
Now,
I feel that.
I mean,
I feel you on that.
So that's where it's more like because when I was single for a year and a half, I had so many women come at me, but I'd be like, no, man, get away.
You Jamario.
But see, like, married or not, but it's
somebody echoing.
You know what I'm saying? I thought, like, I was just like, I mean, I just didn't do the divorce because I wasn't financially there.
Right.
But I was just like, like, stay away from me because I knew exactly, like, the type of woman I wanted to be with, a godly woman, and blah, blah, blah. And I'd be straight up with people like, man, you ain't gonna have fun with me. I ain't touched a girl for like 6 months. It's gonna be so quick. I'd be like, man, leave me alone. Like, that's not how I am. And I think over time, I was telling Joseph at work, like, but every night I would pray about, hey, Lord, like, bless me with somebody that has these characteristics, so I can, you know what I mean? Because I was always still praying to Him and trying to live in the Word. And all of a sudden, things just kind of came to play. But all of a sudden, now it seems like a year later, it's going right back to, well, now you prayed for something. I basically gave it to you, but you ain't still following your calling. So now you got to give it back until you finish what you were supposed to be doing.
All right. I got something to tell you,
That's
Tariq.
what I'm having issues with. But I mean, like I said, that's just, I also don't want to lean on my own understanding and just kind of have faith and let it play out. The main point of this is, like, since we were talking about faith, I have faith, but I'm also having doubts of the end result. And I know doubts come from the devil, but it's just hard not to have it.
Hey, check it. I have a question. Well, actually, I already asked you this, but I want to ask it in front of everybody because I want you to answer it
Tyson.
in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Hold on, Tyson. Can you, before you ask the question, Ben has something he wanted
Oh,
to
go ahead,
ask
man.
Tariq. Yeah.
Hey, Tariq, man, I want to tell you, bro, it's like, hey, God wants you to like, he wants you to be to him for yourself, man. Get on one-on-one, shut everything up, man. Shut everything off. Shut everything off, man. You want everything right. You want everything to be righteous. All of us have to do it. All of us men have to hold each other for accountable for our own. If we stand strong as one, as brothers, and that's what God wants us to do, because we have dominion over all. We have dominion over this whole earth. We have to have a boldness. That's what we set to be. To have that boldness, man. If you have that, man, nothing can fall. Your faith will still be there. You won't have any doubts. Your faith will still be there because, I mean, if you have just that one-on-one with God, just let everything go, cry out, let it go. Same thing. Just let it go. Just let everything go, man. God will fight your battles. He'll do it all for you. And that's where your faith comes. That's where your strength comes. That's where He comforts you. There's no weapon formed against you shall prosper. That's all I have to say, man.
Hey, Ben,
keep
that was
pushing.
good, man. Let me slide in right quick. This Moab, y'all. Hey, Tyreek, man, I wanted to hold on, man. Let me turn this on, man, because I've been trying to do all kind of stuff. We had a banquet tonight, but Tyreek, I wanted to ask you: do you have an accountability partner, a male accountability partner? You have someone that you can talk to during the week besides the call?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I got a couple of brothers that I text. Like for example, today during going to the gym, I was kind of struggling, so I wanted to like text her real quick. But instead, I texted my brother Sheridan and King, because he's actually gone through something like that with his fiance now, but they did like a 6-month fast from each other. So he's went through that before and saw the results from it, even though it was very hard. So I'll text him real quick and be like, "Hey, bro, I'm struggling right now." I've actually
Okay.
called I've actually called Tyson a couple of times before I went to the gym. Say, "Hey, bro, I'm struggling right now," and he'll pick up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got people. I have a very small dot of friends. I guess I didn't want to say circle because that's a little too big.
Sometimes that's good though, Tyreek. You know what I'm saying? I was just wondering, man, because I mean, the call is very good. I think it's very necessary on Mondays, but sometimes you may need that support during the week, especially when the enemy is coming at you the way he is. And man, I was thinking, man, when Mills was speaking earlier, the only thing that kept coming to my mind was typically, how does the enemy attack us, right? He always attacks us when we're by ourselves. He attacks us mentally, spiritually, physically, when we don't have anyone that we're connected with. And so as long as you keep somebody in your corner, man, in those silent moments, as I call it, then I think you're going to be all right. And then, you know, kind of listening to what Donovan was saying earlier, everything was true, you know, that he was saying. Just keep in mind, man, that the enemy, he typically is like how can I say this? He's typically like a little stray animal that likes picking up your crumbs. You know what I'm saying? When you're walking down the street. So, for example, the reason why you're getting all these extra pieces coming at you is because, of course, God has a promise for you, right? Even what the word says about us being his children of God, but there's something that he's wanting you to do. And in order for you to do it, you know, you got to stay in the word. You got to get that support. You got to make sure you have a church home. But on the flip side, keep in mind, whenever God has something for us and we're really close, the enemy is going to be lurking very near. And so that's why you starting to get all these, I'm trying to keep the word kosher. Got all these little things coming at you. They like nipping. They know exactly what's going on. They know exactly what to say. It's never going to come in a 500-pound package. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to look nice. But on the flip side, you just got to stay focused. You got to have that accountability. And then whenever you have those low moments, man, don't do anything. Call Tyson. Call one of us. Get in the word. Go lift some weights. You know what I'm saying? Go do something to keep your mind off of it and keep you away from those other things. I'm trying to be nice.
Wait, real quick, man.
That
Rick, I want to say something after Tyson.
Lucy, that is.
I did want to mention everything before. This is the same woman where when I was compromising my faith by saying, "Hey, I love Jesus, but I can get away with smoking 7 or 8 blunts a day."
Okay.
I love Jesus, but I can still go drop that fool and repent about it on Sunday. After meeting her and seeing her personality, how much faith she had in God, and doesn't curse, whatever, goes to Africa every year. She actually wants to move there and take care of orphans and stuff. That type of faith rubbed off on me over. I'm like, man, why are you so joyful in the Lord all the time?
Okay.
It don't make sense. She got a history of her own. And then whenever she went to Africa one summer, I was by myself, and that spirit just, like, her spirit rubbed off on me. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna be straight honest with you. I don't think it's a devil's a deceivement at all that she's in my life, because without her, I'll just be honest with you, I would not be in the situation right now, because I was very close-minded, and I'll straight check any woman or any man at a certain point if they came at a certain point, regardless of how Jesus-loving, Bible thumper I thought I was. I just know that right now, the reason I'm having these doubts is because of the fact that I felt a certain type of true type of kindness and gentleness from somebody that my wife should have given me, and I'm scared to lose it. So I doubt that whenever I ask her, like, hey, in 3 weeks when my divorce is done or whatever the case may be, like, are you still gonna have the same feelings? Because most people, you know what I mean? And she clears up. She's like, you're an idiot. Like, she told me straight up. Yeah. She'll tell me. She was like, Tariq, the first time I met you, the first month we went out, you got kicked out the gym 5 times. 5 times I got kicked out the gym in 1 month. Because if somebody come grab my waist to look at me stupid, I'm gonna say, hey man, let's just go outside and take care of it. And she was like, yeah. so she'll go, so over time, so she goes, you start off as a maybe, seeing how a maybe you were, and of course I talked to you because you're attractive. But she was like, you started off as a maybe, and the Lord slowly built you into the man that I can see myself with forever. But the thing is, so she was like, but you have to understand right now, you still have to give this gap because you got time to grow. But you got to stop doubting and let the devil win every single time we don't talk. You're like, oh, she don't love me no more. Like, you can't, you got to stop doing that, because that's not how it works. Love don't work.
Hey, what Tyson at?
Go on, put them whiskers out there, Tyson. Go on, rub on them whiskers and bring that wisdom.
Hey man, listen, man.
I know exactly.
Go ahead.
I think my situation could be similar, could be the same, could be different, but I know the person I am, and I know the person that I have become, because I also do believe the right woman does build up a man in a certain way.
No, that's what's up, man. That's what's up.
Hey,
let Tyson chime in real quick, bro.
Check this out. So we kind of hit on this a little bit, Tariq, at the job, man. But I think oftentimes, and not just you, I've been a victim of it. Some of the guys on the call, we've been victims of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times, some of the things that we go through, it doesn't necessarily come from the enemy, and it definitely doesn't come from God. It comes from our own internal thoughts.
Right.
I heard you say earlier. You said that God gifted you this woman, and now you have to return her or something like that. And it's like the truth of the matter is, I don't believe. Now this goes to understanding who God is from the Bible, not from just our thoughts, but from the Bible. I don't believe that God is going to allow, or not allow, but I don't think He's going to gift a man a woman who is not his wife when they are already married. And if you psych
That
yourself
was
into
my fault for
believing
not
that,
getting. But you have to. That's my fault for not getting a marriage when I should have,
no, no,
because
no,
I
no,
already
no,
committed adultery way before
hold up,
her.
hold
So
up.
you can't state
I'm
that
talking,
either. That's irrelevant.
I'm talking about the mind though, because you already said it tonight.
You know?
When you psych yourself into thinking that God gave you a woman, even though you're married, it gives the illusion that God is in this with you when He may not be in this with you. Because at the end of the day, the covenant is going to give God glory, not the adultery that is being committed. So all I'm saying is we need to be careful in what we say as it relates to what God is gifting and blessing us with. Because if it's not going to give Him glory, 10 times out of 10, it's not coming from Him. And I'm not
Hey, let
saying
me.
I'm not saying that this
Yeah,
woman is not for you or she's
yeah.
not good for you. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is I would be careful to say that God has blessed me with a woman or whatever if it defies what He gets glory from as it relates to His
Right,
covenant,
right.
His
But
marriage.
it's an actions that also negates what, like, for example, if God does introduce you, allow you to be introduced to somebody, but it's your
Mm-hmm.
own fleshly actions that commit the adultery. That's your doing of committing the adultery. It's not God forcing you. He might have allowed you to meet somebody as the potential to be the woman that you should be with, that glorifies Him, because that's exactly what her and I do when we're together. We can turn around and preach to people at Target, Kroger's, at Walmart, and that's it. But the fact is, the other side of it is,
Right, right.
it was our own flesh that we admitted to each other that also committed to the adultery. That's what we're doing right now is where we're at, is because we admit to the fact that, hey, we do need to stay away because these are the acts that we're committing. And until the conviction is not there and you're not divorced, and you are divorced and certain things are in place, then we can see what's going on. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Hey,
I
Tariq, can I
agree
chime
with
in? Is that okay?
you.
Tariq, let
Absolutely.
me. Yeah, yeah. Um, brothers, in all fairness to Tariq, I think part of what he's trying to communicate to us is the idea of where he is in his marriage, and what that ultimately means about his future. I think that's precisely part of what he's trying to work through. So we can't frame that for him. You know what I'm saying? Like if he has a belief about it right now, then and we have a differing belief, then the conversation to a certain point is going to be unproductive because we have two different definitions for whether or not he should be married, or whether or not he actually is still married, whether or not he should actually be dating because he's technically still married. All of those things that fall under that umbrella, right? So I kind of feel where Tyreek comes from at the same time, because what he's saying is he's at least being exposed to this woman that represents a lot of what he would want in a godly wife. And at the end of the day, it poses a question to him and to any of us who have been in the conversation, like, man, Lord, what does this mean that I'm even meeting a woman like this?
Right. And that's what my case is. Like, it's my fault for not going for the divorce right when we separated. You
Okay,
know
and
what
let
I'm
me say this though. Let me keep going if you don't mind, Tyreek. I don't mean to cut you off, bro.
saying?
Let me say this though. I also think part of what the brothers are trying to communicate to you, including myself. Let's do this, man. Let's go back to when the Lord called you, and here it is. You've been raised in Islam, and now the Spirit is leading you to submit to Yeshua, the Christ, right? And
Yeah.
it's like you're hearing this voice that's calling you out of everything that you've known, your culture, your family, your traditions that are very familiar to you. And now you're moving in another direction based on the revelation that the voice you're hearing is the voice of God Himself. Like that's radical, right? But you're
Yeah.
hearing that, and by God's grace, man, and He gave you faith, you exercised that faith, didn't you? And you was like, bruh, I gotta go this way. This is God, right? Which is a very compelling story.
Yeah.
Let's look at your situation now. Let's set the definitions of marriage aside just for a moment, right? Because you are in a dilemma. And let's say and ask yourself, and I think we all know the answer to this, and you know the answer to this. Do you still hear that voice?
Of what?
That same voice that's calling you out of everything that's going on in your situation, not just to proclaim what you believe, but that voice that calls you out of what you've known and introduces you to Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, do you
Absolutely.
still feel the Spirit pulling you out of that place to go into this place again where you're communing with Yeshua?
No, absolutely. That's
Question.
that's the thing. What I'm telling you is like
Right.
whenever I pray, like for example, like whenever something bad that I do, like I'll give you a perfect example. Like 2 days ago, I was at the gym and somebody sat on a machine that I barely left just to go
Right.
pick up some more weights. And the dude sat down and I came back and and I already explained I'm not just in the best mood at the moment with everything. So I done told
Right.
him, hey,
Absolutely.
that's my seat right there. He goes, where's your stuff? I said, that's my stuff right there. And he goes, oh, and I said, yeah. So come on, man. And he
Right.
just kind of like, he just had to get up and move. And then like, I did like 2 reps and I had to quickly stop and pray about the situation. And I was
Right.
like,
Yeah. That's real.
I'm Christ's son. How can I have that type of attitude? So I
Yeah.
ran to him really quick, grabbed him by the hand. I said, hey, man, I have my headphones on. I'm prepping for a show. I'm sorry if I came across as rude. I promise you, I'm not a dude.
My
I'm
man.
just in a state where I shouldn't belong, but I apologize if I act mean toward, you know what I mean? He was like, no, brother, you're all right. I said, I'm sorry. I love you, man. Please forgive me if I came at you the wrong way.
Right.
So these convictions come over me. So in the same sense, whenever I sit here and I pray about this situation, the only voice, and like I said, you guys might agree or might not agree because of my marital situation, which sometimes I also question, because back in the days, there was no 3 months or 90 days waiting period for a divorce. It was you get married and you got divorced. It's crazy how you can get married in 3 days or 6 days in certain states, but it takes 3 to 6 months to get a divorce.
Wait. But let's stay on
How do
topic.
we get past that?
Let's stay on topic just for a second. Now, there's a reason why I asked the question that I asked the way that I asked it, right?
Mhm.
Because there are a number of details that make up your personal narrative and the place that you're in your life right now that you've explained to us tonight, and a lot of other details that we don't even have knowledge of because it's your life, right?
Yeah, but can I say one thing though, bro? Like
Sure, go
before I
ahead.
let you finish. But whenever I do pray about the situation,
Mhm.
I will promise you, man, like, cause I do hear him whenever he's like, have grace on my ex-wife, or come at this coworker this way, or that
Right,
person this way, or stay away from this Bible study because it's not benefiting you no more. So I stopped. I literally stopped going to a Wednesday Bible study because they drinking milk forever. They ain't moving on to the meat. I'm like, I'm not learning
Mm.
them. Why am I going to
right.
keep going? It's not. But in this situation, when I pray, I have yet to ever heard the Lord say, this isn't for you. You need to move on. The only thing I hear is you need to be faithful in what she's asking you to do. And in this time, can you just please hang out with me? It's just 3 weeks, bro. Just hang out with me for 3 weeks and have fun.
There it is.
And I keep hearing that. But for some reason,
I keep hearing it too
you know
for
what I'm saying?
you.
I hear it.
What's up?
She hears it. My boy Sheridan, they're all like, yeah, bro, that's exactly what is going on. But the
Listen. Here's the point. Here's the point.
Doubts. I don't
Here's
know
the point.
why.
Here's the point. Like, the definition for marriage, your attitude on different days, all of that is dope, right? Like those are important, but they're secondary. The most important thing in the money ball right now is that alone time with you and Jesus. So that God can minister to you, strengthen you, and give you direction for your future. Because if you don't have that, no matter what happens, bro, you're gonna drop the ball in some vital areas.
No, you're right, bro. That's 100%. I don't know why I'm struggling with it right now. And I think
Because you human. What you mean you don't know why you struggling with it? You struggling with it because I would struggle with it, because Jeremy would struggle with it, because Tyson would struggle with it, because you human. Now don't get it twisted, man. You are also created in the image of God, and you have moved in some superhuman ways by His Spirit. Oh, you lit, fam. But at the same time, bro, you got weaknesses, my G. Yeah. And all the warnings are doing is reminding you of that and reinforcing the idea that you need to power up in the presence of your Father. That's it. You gotta be you, bruh, cause you're a superhero out in these streets, fam. But Lil Mama is not the reason why you can defy gravity. Yeah. It's the Holy Ghost, bruh. And also, and I wanted to say this, and I'm done, man. I believe in my heart, bro, that Donovan's goatee is full of the Holy Spirit, bro. But go ahead.
Hey, is it all right if I speak on it?
Yeah, man. The goatee though, bro. That's what's
the
up.
The goatee. So, I've had the opportunity to speak to a number of the guys on the call about this, because I believe that there was a season in my life before I got married that I went through, the things. No, you're okay. The things that I walked through and that I went through they weren't just for me; they were for you. I remember when. So I'd almost gotten married before, and after that relationship came to an end, I had a huge hole in my heart, because I had replaced God with her. So I have this huge hole in my heart, right? So we're no longer together, and I was broken. No, okay, thank you. No, I was completely broken, and so I went out, and for 9 months, I just had my little wang dang out there slanging, and until I came to the end of myself, and just realized, like, this ain't even what I wanted. So here I coming out of this place of trying to figure out what it was that, how to fill this void, this ache that I had in my heart, this rejection, this incongruency, this not qualified, all these things that were attributed, that I felt like had been attributed to me by this broken relationship, which really was God getting me out of this relationship. But this was a young lady that I had pined after, and I had chased after her. We were friends for 6 years, and she was by all accounts at that time in my life the greatest woman of God that I had ever had a relationship with, had a friendship with. Tyson, an idiot.
I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna tell you this. Let me give you this real quick synopsis of that relationship. When we first hung out, we had gone on a couple of dates or whatever, And she shared with me some things about other guys that have come to her and been like, hey, you're who God told me is going to be my wife, and blah, blah, blah. And that just turned her off. So I was like, yeah, I'm never saying anything like that to her. And I remember very vividly, I was at the Potter's house. I had gone to visit. My brother was working at the Potter's house, and I had gone out there to visit, and we were leaving, and we're in the car, and this is the only time in my life I have heard the audible voice of God while I was awake. And he said to me so loudly that I thought my brother said it to me. He said, it's time to tell her that she's your wife. And I turned to my brother and I said, what? And you already kind of know how the story ended, right? You know that this ring ain't from her. So you can imagine how things must have transpired. So here I am with this declaration from God that he told me it was time to tell her that she was my wife. So what you think I did? I mean, as quickly as I could, excited because she was my best friend and amazing young lady. And I told her this and she backed up. So for 6 years, we were just friends. She dated other guys. I didn't date a single woman. And I was a bartender at the time, bro. Like when I tell you I had every option and every opportunity, this was in my 20s. And I didn't date a single girl during my 20s because I was so focused on her. Well, year 7 comes around and she finally succumbs. And she's like, you know what? Almost verbatim, she says this. I'm not going to find a man better than you that treats me better than you. So I don't know why I'm running. And so I'm excited, right? I got what I wanted, but financially, I'm not in a place. I can't even put a ring on her hand. But we're engaged, yet we're engaged. So we go a whole year of being engaged. I still can't put a ring on her hand. The savings metrics that we wanted to have, the things that we wanted to have leading up to our marriage. We were 3 months away from getting married. And we were sitting in the car, sitting outside the grocery store. And I mean, we were practically living like we were married. I would leave my job bartending. I would leave work early just so I could spend the rest of the evening with her. And I mean, she had my heart. She had my life, rather. Not just my heart. She had my life. And we sat there and we recounted all the things that we wanted to accomplish before we got married, and just realized that we hadn't done these things. We hadn't accomplished any of them. And she said to me, maybe we need to separate. Now I had pined after this girl for 6-7 years. But the first thing that happened with my mouth was that I said, I think you're right. And while I was saying it, I said, there is no way I'm saying this. God got me out of the relationship because I would not have said that. I was codependent upon what it was that I had found. And here, when I went through those 9 months of trying to regain myself in God, regain my footing, I remember the enemy pressing down hard on me and saying, but I thought God said she was the one. But I thought God said she was your wife. And he would plague me with it. And finally, I asked God. And I said, yeah, God. You know, I got mad. I got fed up enough, and I got mad enough. And I said, yeah, God, I thought you told me that she was my wife. And he did me like this. Whoa. What did I say? And in an instant, he brought everything back. The moment he brought it all back. And I said, you said it was time for me to tell her that she's my wife. He said, so is that me telling you that she was your wife? And I said, what? And he showed me how he preserved me in my 20s with this young lady who raised my standard, but she was not the full measure of what he had for me. Because let me explain something to you. I lost my father when I was 21 years old. He was my compass. Aside from God, he was my compass. He was my north. My older brother, he was my second compass. My brother was running out when I was in my 20s. He was running out and he was slaying any girl that he possibly could slay. So my second compass as a man of God was broken. My first compass, aside from God, was dead. And I'm a bartender, lining up body shots for girls on my Fridays and Saturday nights, and I'm completely
you preaching so good right now. Goodness, come on.
Completely disconnected from what's going on at the bar, because I was so focused on this other young lady. So you want to know what he did? He gave me a carrot. He gave me something to pursue after. So sometimes we look at things and we qualify things. Sometimes we qualify them by our brokenness, and we immediately say, "Oh, that's the one who they asked for me."
I feel like I did that with my ex-wife. That's the whole point.
Well. I'm not saying that this is a one-to-one. I'm giving you some scenarios.
Yeah.
So after that, and I began to understand that, then when I came back to the Father, I came back to him and I said, God, it's me and you. I ain't trying to get in a relationship, nothing, blah, 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 whoop-de-whoop, and what you think happened? I immediately saw a young lady. Some of y'all know her, Carisha Davis. I saw this young lady, and I was taken back. I was like, whoa, who is this? And wait a minute, God. I said it was just me and you. And he said to me, I just want you to observe her. So, okay, so I observed her. So it was October. This is October 2009, all the way to April 2010. I observed her and just watched how she managed her life, what kind of woman of God that she was. But here's the problem. At the end of observing, I assumed that she was she was who God had for me. Again, jumping off of a simple word that God had said to me, I assumed the rest. And so I approached, and God didn't say anything. He just sat back like this. I approached her, and I said, hey, you want to go and grab some coffee? I just want to chill, get a chance to know a little bit more about you. She said, yeah, cool. Well, she talked to one of her homies and found out that I was interested in her, and she sent me an email, and she was like, hey, word kind of got back. I found out you kind of like me a little bit more than just friends. I just wanted to let you know I'm not interested. I don't like you like that at all. But thank you for the honor of asking me out. And I was like, man, like I was taken back. I never had a woman respond to me like that, right? And so I asked God again. I said, why did you have me to sit there and observe this woman's life if she wasn't who you had for me? And he said, she was a carrot. Sometimes to get you where I need you to go, I need to put in front of you the thing that has your heart the most. And for us, when we're broken, relationships is the one thing that we chase the hardest after. The physical, tangible relationship. We can desire God wholeheartedly, but we will immediately put God to the wayside because we can't tangibly wake up and see his beautiful face every day. But we can wake up and see her face. And he showed me, he jumped me from situation to situation where I kept wanting to settle. I kept wanting to settle because in my heart, I was afraid that there was no way I could get the woman that I truly desire. And if I settled down and I got quiet enough, then I would know that this wasn't who he had for me. So then fast forward and I meet my wife, and all it took was one date, because I could recognize the difference between a carrot. I could recognize the difference between someone who just simply raised my standard of expectation, and I could understand the difference between exceedingly abundantly above all I could ever ask or think. And that's all that God operates in.
How
It's
did you discern the difference between those?
when I presented to her, when she approached me the second day, the next day after our date. So we hadn't even talked about when our second date was going to be. And she reached out to me. We all hung out on Sundays. The young adults hung out, and we went and played sports and all this other stuff. And so she shot me a text the next day, and she was like, "Hey, had a great time, and I really did enjoy yesterday. Hope you had a great Sunday. I'm headed to Sports Sunday, and I'm running a CVS to grab some waters for everyone. Would you like me to grab you a Gatorade?" For me, seeing her nature confirmed when there was no requirement for her to do that for me. And this was the beginning. That was the spark. That was the spark that told me, because when I saw that, I was floored. I was like, wait a minute. This woman is honoring me when I am nothing to her. I'm just a guy that she went on a date with last night. And she's honoring me and considering me in this action that she's doing for everybody, but she's considering me by giving me something different. And so that's when God spoke to me. So I can't just sit here and say, oh, well, I saw the situation and that's how I knew. No, God spoke to me. And he said those exact words to me. He said, you've been asking me, you've been praying for a woman that was 100% of your list.
Month and a half I was looking for a job. She bought my groceries, helped me pay my car note and all that stuff. You know, but like I said, and that's crazy because I'm going kind of like right back to what Jeremy was saying is before all this, there was potential great women who came along, but the whole entire time I also was praying for a certain type of woman. I'm like, hey Lord, whenever it's your time,
Check this out.
Just let it happen.
Check this out, Tyreek. Let me say this.
Like I said, that's where I'm at.
So, and I'm only using you because you're the topic of discussion tonight. But it's the example applies to all of us, to be honest, right? Like the first thing is this. Like I think one of the greatest deceptions within the body of Christ is that just because we are born again and we profess that Jesus is our King and our Lord, that somehow safeguards us from idolatry. Like somehow we don't have the same lust for idolatry that cats who ain't born again have just because we're born again. And the truth is, many of us, we erect new idols in our hearts every day, even as believers in Christ. So it's a real dilemma. What you're talking about is not just an issue. It ain't like, yo, you're going to get through this and then you're going to get back to your walk. Like this is the walk. You defining terms, you coming to grips with what God is saying, and you seeing him from a brand new, more mature perspective as the situation goes along and as the situation concludes, bro, is exactly what you are called to do. It's not something on the side of your calling. This is part of your purpose right here. You're walking in it. Okay, so this is not an issue of being backslidden. This is an issue of God perfecting you in his son, even through your sin. Yeah. So the second thing is this. Listen, the enemy and the flesh, man, I say this a lot. the devil is not as much a master deceiver as much as he is a master of distortion. He'll give you a picture of
Wow.
truth and jumble it in a way to where you cannot recognize it for what it really is because it's not clear. Right? And so he'll speak lies based on that lack of clarity. Not because he's fabricating something else altogether. He's using your situation and speaking lies in a way that sound true. So we have to safeguard our hearts from that. So what'll happen is this, man. The flesh and the enemy, man, they will repackage our situations to make them look like they're new and different, and they the same thing. Like, bruh, this new chick ain't no different than your old marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I say that?
Fact.
Why would I say that? Why would I say that?
Fact.
The reason why I would say that is because in the middle of all of this, the devil is whispering the same lie, and that's this: that somehow God is going to bless you in a very specific, crucial, essential way through the woman he puts in your life.
I don't think that at all. I don't think that she's the reason I'm gonna get blessed, but I do believe that when the Lord shall not be alone, he has a reason why a man gets developed.
No. That's no. Hold on. And I'm not trying to argue with you or anything. My bad. I'm not trying to do that. But I'm saying this. That's exactly my point. God is not necessarily bringing a woman in your life to fulfill that lonely void that you have. That's the lie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That itself, because he can play on that, because we'll rationalize based on that feeling of aloneness that we hate. Our intellect, our high intelligence, bro, will start formulating arguments to support why XYZ is actually okay based on how we feel on the inside when no one else is around, because no one else is around. That's how crafty our flesh is, and the enemy. So it not only will look appealing, it'll make sense and seem like it's from the Lord.
Hey, Mills, can I add to that, bro?
Hey,
Hold
bro,
on.
that's fire.
Hold on.
He said,
Hold on, Donald. Hold
That
on.
boy in his bag.
So yeah, I'm about to land it. So the thing is that at this point, your game plan is, you've already said it. That's why I had the conversation with you the way I did a little bit earlier. You said it out your own mouth. You said, man, Jesus said, just come spend time with me, bro. And when don't just do that. Make that your priority.
Yes, absolutely.
Bro, and when that's your hey, listen, don't do nothing. You ain't got to figure nothing else out, because God will grant you understanding. You ain't got to figure that out. Oh, boy, I felt the Holy Ghost when I said that, fam. You ain't got to come up with an explanation for it, bro. All you got to do is get along with your Father and let the chips fall where the Lord puts them.
Hey, Mills, what you just said, the greatest...
Man, I felt that thing.
Yeah, the greatest... real quick, I want to add some scripture to that, man. The greatest...
Put it in a honeycomb.
The greatest distortion in scripture that you're talking about, where Satan will suggest his truth and collide with God's truth, is when Jesus was tested in the wilderness. So Matthew 4:1-11, it says, Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, trying to distort, if you are a son of God, tell these stones to become the bread. Jesus answered, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that comes from the mouth of God. Here's the part right here that is the greatest distortion. To see what the devil said was true. What Jesus said was true as well. When he said that the devil took him up to the holy city and had him stand at the highest point and said, if you are the Son of God, He said, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. That's in scripture. That is the truth. Jesus answered him, though, it is also written, do not put your Lord God to the test. And that whole paradigm right there, Satan's primary objective was to distort what was already written, to remove him from the place that God had called him to. As long as he was able to distort the very image he saw in front of him, keep in mind, Jesus had fasted 40 days, 40 nights. He was hungry. He was in the wilderness. He was tempted on all levels. And then at the peak of his hunger, at his thirst, at his isolation, and feeling abandonment, feeling everything that humans feel, then you see the tempter coming in to distort what was already written. And then I find that key because it goes back to what Mills was saying. He will always distort something that's always true. Now, here's the issue.
That's real.
When the truth that you understand collides with the truth that God has written, your truth may be a trap. And so that's the reason why you want to be able to look at it and say, what does the word of God say about this situation? And what Mills said was so on key and so on point. What I think the biggest thing about that is that even her coming into your life, I will say this. I do think that she was meant to be in your life to provide the provision that God was permitting to allow, to provide in those moments for you. And I will say that. But here's the distortion. Does that provision mean permeates in terms of relationship in your life to be equally yoked with you? That can be a huge distortion because God also deals in truth, right? And so he may say, she's a great woman, she has all these qualities, but son, you're married. You say, well, I understand, God, but look at all these different revelatory situations. I'm not talking about you, Tyreek. I'm talking about the different things around it because it matches with what Jeremy was saying. It matches what Mills was saying. And it also matches with, I think there's not a man on his phone that hasn't dealt with a similar situation that you dealt with and not have struggled in that area, bro. Man, I can tell you right now that there have been some women that even while I've been going through what I'm going through right now, I had a woman come tell me, she says, Donovan, you let me know when you get done going through your divorce. I'm saying, excuse me? She said, I'll marry you in a heartbeat. Here was my response. The fact that you would tell me that while I'm married suggests to me that you're still not, watch this, suggests to me that you're not even my wife. Because why would you even tempt me in that way, knowing that I'm married still? She says, but Donovan, y'all are separated. I said, no. I understand what's going on, but I'm still married. And she tried to contradict and distort what was still true. You see what I'm saying?
Donovan, what if she would have said that to you and you wasn't married?
Still would have left it, bro. You want to know why? Because I've come to realize that there's some broken parts in me. And until those parts are healed, everything that comes my way will be a distortion until God completes me in wholeness. Everything, no matter how good it's dressed up, will be a distortion. And so the thing that I have to have is, do I have those disciplines? Do I have people around me, brothers, counsel? Do I have all those people around me to ground me so I don't become stupid? Like the truth says, that we run into a brick wall only because of our thick skulls and not because he didn't leave us a note. So do I ground myself into the word of God and I say, wait a minute, this look good and it sound good. And here's the biggest thing that I always tell myself.
Well, I would have to deny you on that, Donovan, because you're like, before you would actually go to accept a woman, you want to get grounded by a brother or sister. When God created Eve, he didn't create Steve as a brother first and say, ground yourself with Steve, and then you can meet Eve.
Yeah. But see, I'm not saying, but see, here's the deal. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be tempted. But what I am saying is, he said, what if you said you weren't married? So let's just say I'm divorced and she comes my way. I have been through so much of the stuff that I've gone through right now. I am more prone right now to follow the sword of my brothers and wives' counsel because of what I've gone through and what it's cost me, than to go back in the same season and go back to what I've gone through because I know what it cost me. It took everything out of me and it brought me to a very, very low place. I'm not saying out of cockiness. I'm saying out of brokenness. It broke me.
I agree with that. Just like I told somebody else, like they were like, well, what happens if you and this person will get together? You can just move on and get with any chick you want because the way you look in your heart. I was like, nah, man, if this girl and I don't get together, I'm gonna be single for the next year or 2 years, just because the fact that for a relationship, you literally have to equip yourself to be heartbroken and jacked up again before you can open yourself up. That's basically what happened. Is I was single
Right.
for a year and a half just to be ready for these moments to where if it does happen, you gotta get ready for it.
Right.
It is.
Well, I want
You gotta be ready to
to present something a little bit different than that thought. So all in all, like I know I went through that whole timeline of relationships and things of that nature, but overarching, aside from everything that we've been talking to tonight, the points that we've been talking to, and I completely understand your response. At the end of the day, the thing that is the absolute most important is for you to be able to be valuable in the kingdom of God to the King of Kings. Thus, that means that in this life joining union that you are now legally ripping apart, that leaves jagged pieces of your life, of your heart, that have to be restored by Father. And that takes some time. And that time may be weeks, months, years. That's up to him. But the deal is that this is starting right now. You have the opportunity for it to start right now. And it's starting because of a relationship. Because this second relationship is saying, hey, we need to go on a fast. We need to focus on God. But at the end of the day, in 13, 14, 21 days, your heart is not mended from being rended. It just begins in 21 days. Things are just finalized. Just because, like, I understand, yeah, y'all been separated for 2 or 3 years, but she has been a centerpiece of your life those entire 3 years as she's slashed your tires, punch you in the face, all these different things. There are things that you need to heal from. And I'm telling you this as somebody who was abused by my stepfather, that when my mom and my stepfather, when they got a divorce, there was still backlash that I had to deal with. There was 5 years of my life that I wanted to murder him because I was a little 12-year-old boy, 11, 12-year-old boy getting beat upside my head by a big 260, 270-pound man that I couldn't defend my mother. And seeing this, and as I got older, I got bigger and all these different things, and I wanted to go and murder him if I could find him. And it took that time. I needed that time, and I was in ministry, Tariq. Like I was in pool. I'm up in pulpits, and I've got unbridled hatred in my heart for this man who abused me, who abused my mother. But the thing that God wanted to do in me, he had to put me in some situations to get that junk out of me before he could unify me in long-term ministry efforts, before he could unify me in relationships and things of that nature. Because what was going to happen was that whether I tried to or not, I was going to repeat the cycle of my abuser. Because now, when I get to my stress point, my point of reference of my most anguish, the most anguish that I've ever gone through, was when the abuser was abusing me. And so when the people in my life push me to that place of anguish, I immediately go to that place. And I respond in the same way that my abuser responded to me. And so until God could move those things out of my heart, here I was holding back everything that God wanted to give to me. But aside from that, man, I want you to understand.
Go ahead. My bad.
I want you to understand that where God wants to take you, and who you are in your ministry, and you clearly have a ministry in the fitness space, but that's something that God wants to develop in you. See, Adam had his own ministry outside before
I don't think my
Eve.
ministry's in the fitness anymore.
Right now it is. I'm just saying it's what you're building. Like you have a competition that's coming up here in the next couple of weeks. That's ministry for you. You are a man of God standing in front of an audience, going to win, and you're going to give God the glory the entire time. That's ministry. I'm not saying that like, you know, this is the thing that you're going to do for the next 30 years. No, what I'm saying is that you are cutting your teeth and you're showing that you can live a life with singular focus on the Father as a single guy, that God can say, you know what, it's no longer good for Tariq to be alone. But Tariq hasn't been alone. Tariq has, along the way, he has had his wife and he's had this other girl, and there's been no time in between for God to really develop you as he's brought you from Islam to the faith, and to be able to take you into a wilderness and really grow you and groom you and show you that I am everything. I am the everything that you need. And everything else is a supplement of me.
Hey, let me piggyback on that.
It's not the main thing. Go ahead, Nelson.
Let me piggyback on that real quick, man. I'm just gonna be honest with you real quick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I happen to think I'm at least half as pretty as Tyreek and Tyson. You feel me?
Oh.
And I'm single. I've been single for, you know what I'm saying? I've been single for a while now, not terribly long. I was in a relationship.
Ready to mingle.
Yeah, real talk, man. And the scripture says, man, buy the truth and sell it not. And I've been leaning on that in Proverbs, and that as it pertains to all of the situations in my life, I want to know the truth about them. I want to know what purpose they serve, right? Because if they don't serve a purpose that's going to benefit me, I don't want no parts of it, right? But on the cool, if I'm being honest, a lot of times, even when I was off and on with my ex, I was technically single, but she was still kind of in the picture. I would hop on a call on Monday nights, man. I'd be like, man, I don't know what the Lord got for me. And boys would be like, nah, man, the Lord gonna sing you some. You know, people tell me that all the time. And you know what I'm saying? I done had plenty of opportunities with women. Now, if I'm being honest, just flat honest and nothing else, man, brother, I would love to have a wife. You know, I love kids, all of that. I'd love to have like a son or a daughter that's, you know what I'm saying, that look like me or my wife, and develop cultivate a legacy with a woman and do ministry together, all of that. You know what I'm saying? I would love that, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you. Cats be like, man, you want to get married? I'd be like, I don't know. I don't want to sit on this phone and act like what you dealing with, Tyreek, is like, hey, just some dude who just done mastered the game in terms of being single, man. I deal with that every day, bro. The only difference is that I question myself a lot, and I think it's the right thing to do. I think the Lord leads me to do it. And it's because I know how easily I can start leaning on something that is not him. That's all it is, man. Because when you lean on something in the way that we lean on things from our hearts, we put our full weight on it and more, and they are not strong enough to bear us up.
Yeah.
At some point, they break, and we fall and break with them. So bro, you know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you out here like somebody, man, who just got the game down. I don't, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm working through mine every day too. And I have times where I'm chilling, man. I'm like, man, look, I wonder if the Lord is gonna bless me with somebody, or man, what if I have to cool out till the Lord come back? I don't know. Boom, 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 man. How I'm gonna keep my dick in my pants? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just real talk, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still young. You know what I'm saying? I got a lot, you know, going for myself, and so it's like, hey, what am I going to do with these options in light of God's truth? And bro, what only strategy I have is to make the Lord my priority, dog. That's the only shot in hell I got at not being broken into a million pieces all over again.
Yeah.
Because what you don't want is for you to get what you want and that thing destroy you.
Yeah.
That's what you don't want. So that's why I'm hesitant. I ain't gonna act like, hey man, I know better now. I don't, bro. Well, I just seen my ex girl at church 2 days ago, man. Looking thick as ever. Can't stand her attitude and where she is. Looking thick as ever, bro. And as much as I know, as much insight, man, ask boys, man, I got a lot of insight about my relationship that I've blessed others with, bro. right now I know she a devil, bro. And bro, she say the right thing. She say the right thing to me. And
Yeah.
I ain't been in the presence of the Lord, bro. I'm gonna be over there knocking it down, bro, tonight.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Bro.
Donovan, you know I'm a real one over here, bro. Listen, but that kind of realness is what God has used to preserve me, man.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it calls out the vulnerability and puts the responsibility in God's hands to protect us. Because, bro, if we keep just coming to conclusions about things and just thinking X, Y, Z, just it's checking off this box and that box. Oh, it must be the Lord, bruh. No, that's a recipe for disaster. Because, bruh, a woman could check off all the boxes on your list, bruh. But check it out. There are so many things that you would never even think to put on your list. It would never even cross your mind to put certain things on your list.
Yeah.
Like the fact that a man is supposed to, like, see, we talk about women submitting, but the fact that a man is supposed to lay down his life for his wife means that if your wife talking to you crazy, treating you crazy, boom, 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 that you gotta entrust yourself to the Father in such a way that you don't sin against her and you take the wound.
How did he do that?
Like, bro, bro, and it's like, bro, okay, why would you do that? Because as you die to flesh, as you die in the situation, you take her sin with you, so her sin is dead, and God resurrects you and sanctifies her.
Somebody get that boy a wife. That boy dead.
Hold on. I'm almost done. Check it out. But how many cats you know say they want a wife that's problematic in her attitude? You ain't gonna put that on your list. But God knows that you might need it.
Wow.
Not this one, because I've had it.
Nah, I'm not saying whether or not you need it. My point is that God don't need listen, he don't need powder, sugar, and milk to make biscuits, fam. Egg. Yeah.
But this Pillsbury though?
So, bruh, I'm in there with you because I know when I say buy the truth and sell it not, I'm not talking about truth that you can validate in your mind. I'm talking about truth that empowers you in your inner man so that you can see the truth and actually comply with it in the way you live. Because we walk into situations that we know better about all the time. Man. That's why I say buy the truth and sell it out. Because we'll understand the truth, and when that booty get to jiggling, we'll sell it. Oh yeah.
Boy, you talking about sell it?
Oh yeah.
Put that thing on offer up. Everything.
Yeah. See, you need the truth. You need the truth you buy to be jiggling booty proof, boy. You feel me? Like, bruh, that's the kind of truth you want.
But you real though, man. Boy, look, boy, you could be speaking in tongues, bro, in the scriptures, theologian. The moment you see that, bro, ain't none of that hitting your mind, bro.
You feel me?
Right. I'm being real, bro.
You feel me?
That's exactly right, bro.
So
I'm with you. I'm with you, man. Bro, I checked out my Plenty of Fish account the other day. What you mean, bro?
I still get emails.
What you mean, bro? Lord knows I don't need to be dating right now. I get it, fam. I get it. But by the grace of God, man, I keep going. I just call on him. Lord, I need you. Because I want this, but I need you.
That's good.
That's good stuff, bro.
That's good.
Hey, that's real. That's real right there, bro.
Ain't nobody saying nothing.
Cause at the end of the day, bro, it don't matter how holy you are, how close you are to the cross, bro. Anybody get caught slipping, bro. If you're not in
That's
fellowship,
real.
you're not in the
That's
circle,
real.
bro. Like I don't buy the misnomer that, bro. Oh, I'm good. I'm not gonna fall short. I think the moment that you get to a place where you feel like you good, you probably not. You know what I'm saying? You're probably not, because Mills, you described the perfect recipe for disaster, bro. Well, that's
Hey, look,
all
check
it
this out.
takes, bro. That's
Check
all
this
it
out.
takes.
If anybody say that they good, they lying to themselves. We ain't gonna never be good. It's gonna always be a battle to the day we die.
Always.
To the day we die.
Always.
That's why it's essential that we doing this, because it's a recharge. You feel me? Ain't nobody gonna ever be good. We only good through Christ. Period.
Yeah.
The end. And if you ain't
Yep.
fellowshipping with Christ, you are not good. Period. The
Not good,
end.
bro.
Straight up.
Word,
What that boy the truth say? He said I should have stayed in the huddle. I never should have let my hair down like Rapunzel. Right? I'm serious, bro.
Yeah, it'll get
For real, bro.
you. It'll get you.
He said stay in the huddle, bro. He said we ended up as a river, started out as a puddle.
Yeah.
Hey, at the end of the day, Tyreek, at the end of the day, Mr. Swole, man, you're not alone, bro. You're not alone, dog. We going through the same thing. It may look different, but at the end of the day, it's all the same, bro. We in this thing together, bro. For real.
Yeah.
Tariq, on some behind the scenes stuff, bro. When I found out that my wife had did what she did, bro, the first thing that came to my mind wasn't even holiness. This is the first thing I said. I said, you know how many girls I could have smashed?
That's real.
I'm just being honest.
That's real.
In my mind, like I said, man, like for real, you think you think that like what you doing is something? Like, do you know how many? Like that was my immediate response to what she did by committing adultery, bro. And I had to catch myself. And I heard God says, I'm no longer concerned about what she's doing. I'm concerned in your response and what you're gonna do. I'm gonna hold you accountable for what you're doing. Be very careful. And I had to submit myself to Jeremy and Mills and everyone else and just say, man, look, bro, me and Jeremy got this thing called where I say killer. I'll text him. And Jeremy, we've been doing that since 2008.
Bruh.
I can text Jeremy and say killer in a text message. He knows what that means. He knows that he needs to call me, and he knows what the deal is. This is one text message. It's an emergency word, bro. That means that I am seconds away from doing something, and ain't nobody gonna stop if you don't call me.
Yeah.
I'm that weak in that area, bro. I've texted him numerous times, Tariq, and I say killer, and immediately he's responding like, I'm talking about Tariq. I'm serious, bro. It's that kind of fellowship that we have to have, bro. I'm talking about I could be in the scriptures and the work. I'll text him in a heartbeat, bro. Him and Pastor and say, hey, killer, somebody come get me. And it's immediate because I know Donna. You feel what I'm saying? That don't mean that we holding it out, bro, but I believe God got you, man. The cool thing about it is he's placed you in here when we talk about faith, so we can build each other up and get the edification, man, so we can grow together, man. And I think you got the faith to actually overcome this situation, bro. Like, I believe in you, Kinfolk, real talk. Like, I really do, bro. You anointed, man.
That man believe in you because you got Jesus in you, dog. If you ain't had Jesus in you, Tyreek, I wouldn't believe in you. Straight up. So you get no glory from me, partner. Jesus gets all the glory, dog. Straight up.
At the end of the day, you gotta feel it. You gotta feel it for you. You know what I'm saying? Like our job as your brother on this call is to really challenge you, and you've got a lot to listen to. Like we've been talking for a minute tonight, but you got what, 3 weeks? You know, you got 3 weeks to really settle in and just give God what he wants, which is you. And the rest of the story will be told after that. You know, so you can consider what we said, not consider what we said. None of us will be butthurt. None of us better not be butthurt, because we all have been in situations where people have been talking to us and telling us, you know, this is what I see, this is what I believe, and we all just walk the other way. You know what I'm saying? Good, bad, ugly, perfect. It doesn't matter what the word felt like. At the end of the day, there are instructions that you will get that you will immediately be like, yep, that is confirmation. I'm with that. There are other words that you'll get that you're just like, I'm tasting that, and I don't like the way that tastes. And it might turn around later and be honey to your stomach, but bitter to your tongue, or it may be bitter to your tongue and to your stomach. Who knows? But at the end of the day, you're gonna go through this journey. We just want to make sure that you know, good, bad. I'll tell you just like I told Donovan. So, and I know I can share this because he and I, we worked through this, we walked through this. When he and his wife, when he made the decision to marry his wife, he was actually over at my apartment, and my now wife was we were just dating. I don't even know if I had proposed to her yet. Yeah, and she was over at my place, and he got the call. He got the call that his wife was pregnant with their first son, and he and I had already been talking. We had already been talking while he was over there, and I was sharing with him my heart about what I saw concerning their relationship, because they were on breakup terms at that point in time. And so I was just sharing some things that I saw, and he went out on the patio. I remember this like it was yesterday, Donovan. He went out on a balcony talking to her, came back in, dude, she's pregnant. I think I'm gonna marry her. I said this to him, and I think this is the disposition that we have to have when we share what we share, when we share from our hearts for every brother that's on this call. I said to him, this is the last time you will hear me say that I don't believe that she's who God has for you. If you decide to marry her, I'll never bring it up. I'll never mention it. I'll bless what you bless. So at the end of the day, Tariq, wrong or right, if I'm wrong or right, what I say on this call, if I tell you that, listen, I believe that she's the guidepost, and she's somebody that God has put in your life to help get you to the next place, but she's not who God has for you. But you decide, no, this is the one, and you lock it down, you'll never hear me say it again. You'll get my blessing, because you as a man have the 100% right to make the decisions and the choices in your life. Just know that I support you enough to say what I believe and what I see, and I will never back down from that. But I also will never condemn you for any decisions, any choices that you make that are contrary to what I think and contrary to what I believe. Because when you stand before the Father, you don't have to stand before the Father based on me and my words to you. Like, oh, what did you do with the words that Jeremy said to you on those Monday night calls? Who cares? The only thing that matters is what did you do with his son? That's it. So I love you, bro. I don't want you to feel heavy. I hope you don't feel heavy after this call. I know you've been the focal point of this conversation, but I need you to know that you're loved, and that at the end of the day, your decisions are your decisions, and we're gonna support you, and we're gonna walk with you however you walk this thing out. Divorce is a horrendous thing, a tragic thing to have to walk through, aside from a broken marriage. And so we just want to be here to support you through this process. All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. And Tariq knows something, man. You ain't the only one going through it, bro. Like, I'm ramping up, finishing up my process as well, man. So I'm going through it, and I know me and you haven't talked a lot, but a lot of these brothers over here, Tyson and Jeremy and Mills and Moab, all these guys have walked with me through this stuff, bro. They've seen the damage. They've seen me, even in the midst of it, try to reconcile it. They've seen all of the good, the bad, and the ugly, bro. And I don't leave out of this feeling defeated. It hurts, right? Because no one wins in divorce. And obviously you're looking at what could be in another spouse, but I will leave you with this. If you flirt with the thought and you date the action, don't try to divorce the consequence. Be very, very careful, bro, where you tread. And I'm saying this because when I look at you, bro, it's like, bro, you're on a different level where the Lord is taking you. And here's the deal: she could very well be the person that you're supposed to be for the rest of your life after you leave this, right? I'm just saying that I'm gonna back you and rock with you either way, because the same thing that Jeremy did for me, he didn't bring it up. I'm the one brought it back to him and said, bro, I never should have married her. This is 7 years. This is 7 years. I know this is 11 years. I've been visiting this. I'm looking like you should have said something, but he was true. He was true. He was true to his word, and so I'll tell you that, man. Like you coming out of something, and you may be entering something into what possibly could be. Continue to empty yourself out, man. I'm going literally through the same thing that you're going through, and I feel what you feel, kinfolk. Because here's the deal. You may think that at the end of the day, bro, that you can't stand your ex-wife and you're ready to get it over with. I always told my wife this. I said, you talk a good game and you're ready to get divorced. When we get in the courtroom and the judge hit that gavel, reality will set in. Then all that tough talk, everything goes out the window, and then reality kicks in. And she started crying because reality hit in but said, wait a minute, this is not a game no more. Divorce is a real thing. And I want you to be able to understand that too. When the judge hits that gavel for you and for her, that's not the ending. It's just the beginning for you to take those steps towards God healing you, bro. You haven't even opened a door yet. When you hit that gavel and it's done, everything you've ever thought about your wife, everything you've ever gone through, your children, everything's on flash right before you. And I'm saying that because I know what the Lord told me. So you start dealing with that and reconciling it in your heart now. So when that happens, the Lord is able to hold you and sustain you like only He can. And the enemy doesn't come and bring distortion and with this weird relationships, or he allows the lady that is your friend right now to be a friend to you, nothing more, nothing less, and pray for you and be the sister she's supposed to be in Christ to you and not be in the middle so you can be healed. Because you need to be whole, bro. There's a lot of people dependent on you and your wholeness. There's a lot of people waiting to hear your wholeness, bro, and you can't afford to attach yourself to anybody right now, knowing that there's people waiting to see what the new Tariq is going to be like so they can come out of what they're dealing with. So imagine if every step that you make and every wrong decision you make, that's one lost soul. I'm not saying to put pressure on you, but I want you to be able to see, bro, that there's something bigger inside of you than what you can see right now with the situation, bro. You called. It's all on you, kinfolk. There's people waiting on you, bro. And that's what I'm saying. Let that be your peace, man. Let God hold you in the season, bro. Because at the end of the day, bro, we can talk a good game, bro. But when we get off this phone and we by ourselves, kinfolk, and Jeremy and Tyson and everyone else gone, kinfolk, and you by yourself in your room, bro, that loneliness kick in. And then you either got Christ, Pornhub.com, the masturbation. I'm being real, man. You got all these different devices, and you have a choice that you have to make, bro. And you have to make that choice day in and day out until God builds a discipline in you and He becomes everything you need. And then when He brings when He sees that you're everything He needs, He will bring somebody that complements that in you, not takes that away from you. But that's going to be a discipline and an everyday process. And I invite you to, as we walk through this same season together, I'll hold you accountable as well as you hold my feet to the fire, bro. Ain't nobody above this situation. I think out of everybody on the phone, me and you are on our way from going through a divorce. We're in the same boat. You feel what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna rock with you, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel what you feel, kinfolk. I got 2 boys. You know what I'm saying? I got 2 boys, man. One is 6, one is 4. My 6-year-old's going through a depression right now, man. That's the worst feeling in the world to see a 6-year-old crying himself to sleep.
And a 9-year-old picture.
You feel what I'm saying? This is just Monday, and I'm crying him to sleep, and he's saying, "Daddy, hold me." I said, "What's wrong with you?" And he just can't tell me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that hurt, kinfolk. Like, that hurt me like no other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it hurts seeing my son not being social, being quiet, going happy, going sad. Like, because that's my seed. It's my firstborn. That's the pain, bro, that I got to feel coming up in the next month when I go through the divorce, is to look my son in the eye But see, I'll be able to do that and say I've done everything I possibly could to reconcile my marriage. And I got brothers on the phone that have said, Donovan, you did everything you could, everything I possibly could to keep my family intact. But I have to let go because it's taking everything out of me. It's killing me. Mentally, physically, it's killing me. And I have to let it go. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm saying it to you, bro, because I know it hurts, bro. It's called internal tears. It's when you're going to cry, but you don't know how to let it out. It's internal tears. You feel what I'm saying? It's the feeling you can't describe. And sometimes it turns into anger. You see what I'm saying? I know what you're going through, bro. And I want to minister that to you, bro, because this ain't easy, bro, what we're going through. See, at the end of the day, when they get off the phone, I'm being real with you. Jeremy will go be with his wife. Moab, all these guys be with their wife and stuff like that. For those that haven't been married, kinfolk, when I get off this phone, I have to deal with the fact that my house is empty. And they not here. I'm not used to that. You see what I'm saying? And so there's a temptation for me to try to feel that so I can feel that comfort. But there's a danger and there's a distortion in that as well. And I want you to be, I want you to be aware of that, bro. But don't fall for the trap. I'm not saying her, because she could be a blessing, but don't fall for that trap in your loneliness, bro. Because that's when we make the most dangerous decisions as men. That's when we lonely, bro. And I know that feeling, bro. Kinfolk, I know that feeling because I feel it right now, bro. Feel what I'm saying? And so I'm saying it, bro. Think about your kids. I don't know if you got a daughter or if you got boys.
I got two daughters.
Two
got
daughters.
2 daughters. So
I got 9-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Think about this. Your daughters will marry the completion of who you are, and they will reject the brokenness of what you leave of what you leave them with if you don't heal.
My daughters know who I am.
I'm just being honest. The parts you don't heal, they will marry.
Man, that's true.
So now I'm saying this, so bro, so you can get the healing you need. So when you look your babies in the aisle, you walk them down the aisle, they'll say, "What's the greatest gift Daddy gave me?" Said, "I gave you me. I gave you a whole me," and they can feel that comfort, bro. Because they may not realize it right now, but to them, you Superman, bro. You Superman, Tariq. Bro, you Superman to your daughters, bro. You everything to them. They may not express it right now, but they need their daddy. When they get 10, 11, and 12 years old in puberty and they need daddy. Daddy, can you hold me? Daddy, what about they need? That's why I'm saying, bro, take this process and heal, bro. Because they need you, bro. They'll make some of the most pivotal decisions in the next 5 years based on you getting your healing. I'm serious,
Hey, man.
And I mean
Tariq,
that, bro. And I love you, bro.
Tariq, man, you Superman us too, man. On the cool.
Real talk.
Oh yeah.
Word.
You Superman, bro. I'm telling you, man. My boys think I'm the strongest dude in the world, and in my mind, I don't feel like it. But my boys look at me like that, man. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
because you're not. Moab is.
You know what I'm saying? And so I look at it like that, man. But everything you do, bro, you're doing it for them. That's why I'm saying heal, bro. Your loneliness is not worth them marrying your rejection. It's not, bro. Them your babies, man. And so as you get well, they'll see a beautiful picture of what a man's supposed to be, even in their brokenness, and they'll become vulnerable to that, man. I'm telling you, bro, everything God is building you into, bro, I'm telling you, bro, the men that are going to come into your life will be a mirror image of you, bro. And so that's the reason why I say I'm excited, bro. I'm really excited. Your wife is missing a good thing, bro. You feel what I'm saying? Because you're a strong man, bro. I'm tired of men putting men down, bro. You're a great man and you love the Lord, bro. And you have everything set out for you, bro.
I ain't gonna lie, bro.
Even,
She's even vocalized that. She was like,
that's what
she like my ex one time. She was like, even if we wanted to get back together, I couldn't get with you because the way you have evolved and learned how to love and how you would treat me, I can't reciprocate that type of love to you. So I wouldn't even feel right being with you like that. And I looked at my ex and was like, okay.
Remember, what a woman can't become and reciprocate, she manipulates. So that's the reason why I'm saying that you gotta be careful. She just told you she'll manipulate you, bro. That's what I'm saying. You're a great dude. You got everything that God has for you right now, bro. God's getting ready to do something in you, bro. Not just for you. The reason why God cares about you too, he cares about your seeds, bro. Because your daughters will give birth to other kings, bro. But it'll all start with you, bro. You the link. It's not her, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like, for real, bro. You know what I'm saying? We got too many dudes. We got too many boys that are growing up to be men like their mothers, bro. And you not one of them. You a man, bro. You a man's man. And so I want to lift you up and I want to encourage you, bro. Walk through the fire, bro. Count it all joy when you face trials of various kinds. For you know the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. Let steadfastness finish its course that you be mature and complete, not lacking anything, because you're a man of God. And Drizo, bro. I don't know if y'all know what that mean yet, but Andrizo, bro. You feel what I'm saying? I pray you find it out real quick, kinfolk. But Andrizo, man, play the man at all times, bro. We got your back, bro. You ain't gonna never fold and fold and you be 10 toes down, kinfolk. We got you, man. It ain't easy, but I don't want you to succumb to the loneliness, bro, because it ain't worth it, bro.
Yeah.
It ain't worth it, bro. I don't want to see you here again, bro.
Nah, he gonna win.
Place right now. I don't. So we're going to walk through it together. If I got to drag you myself, because I'm my brother's keeper, bro. I ain't let you fall like that, kinfolk. You got to come on with that.
I gotta just deal with me and God by ourselves. I know it's like with Tyson. When I remember when Tyson, we talked about it first, he was like, I remember when I first met you, I felt like you were ready to get into the fight, but you were sparring, but now you actually in the ring fighting.
Right. That's lit. That's lit.
And it's like every week, man. Every week is like
you better receive that thing, little bro.
To pray about it, because you know what the crazy thing is like I'm struggling with my abandonment, but over and over again, like just random people, and I shown those messages to Tyson. Random people just hit me up, confiding things to me, asking me about tithing, asking me about their husbands watching porn, or man, how do I get? I have agnostics coming up to me. I want to learn about Jesus. Well, how do you just go around professing your sexual molestation and just be open with it? And I'm just like, because it's all about stating your faith in the Lord. It's not. Whenever I speak about things, I'm just being open right now with you guys about my doubtness in the faith of the end result. At the end of the day, when the end comes around, it's not like, oh, Tariq made it past. It's Tariq was in a bondage of doubt and abandonment, but he's not in bondage no more because Christ has took him out of that. So I still get to profess his name. That all comes down to, like I kind of tell everybody else, whether it's you're a bondage of not being able to tithe, or you're in a bondage of not being able to do certain things. Like once you're able to get past that, it's able to profess Christ. I'm just having issues in this circumstance right now because I don't know. To be honest, this is a lot of doubt that I'm having.
Can I tell you something, bro? Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Jeremy just found this out. My sister just told me yesterday that she had cancer. Check this out. This is my older sister. Her grandmother and her mother also have cancer. So it's 3 generations of people that have cancer, bro. My car just got repossessed 2 weeks ago. I literally have an eviction. I haven't even paid my rent this month, kinfolk. Like when I say literally, bro, like it's the 18th, kinfolk. Like technically, it's supposed to be coming back after the 18th, bro. People don't play, bro. This has been 3 weeks. You feel what I'm saying? I have $14.38 in my account. Gotta find a way to go Uber in the morning just to go get to a place to try to get somewhere to pay my rent and go get back and also get to work. I have no food in here to feed my kids for tomorrow. But check out my faith. Being faithful in this, that he who began a good task in you is able to complete it. Bro, watch this shake back. Watch this shake back. I always tell God this, put my pain to work. If I'm going to go through this, kinfolk, you take every tear, every abandonment, every loneliness, all of that, kinfolk, and I'm going to walk through this thing. Because when I come out, kinfolk, watch this. When we come out, kinfolk, when we come out, kinfolk, it's gonna be greater later, bro. So you take that lick right now, bro. And y'all know the quote. sometimes you got to stay down till you come up, bro. Stay down till it's time for you to come up, bro. You know what I'm saying? You look like Chico the Barge in front of the S Carroll package and all that, bro. Like, you got the texturized super. Because the hair slick back. That's the regular. That's the super right there. Look at him. He turned his head to the side. You feel what I'm saying? That boy's smooth. That's the S Carroll
Tyson,
red.
come on, man. Go get a haircut. Why you letting me get all this?
Look, I like a slave, bro. I like a slave. But what I'm saying is, bro, like,
Have y'all not seen Tyson's IG account? I started following
I saw
the
him,
man.
bro.
I said, oh, Lord.
That boy, I told you that boy look like Farrakhan's armor bearer.
Have I seen it? But I study it. What you mean?
What is GQ tie? Something like that.
Hey, man, I got nothing but love for y'all boys, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
Hey, I
man.
hope, Tariq, man, I really hope you're receiving this, bro. They kept saying that you're a Superman, bro, and like the thing that kept resonating in my mind was, all right, Tariq may be Superman, but he needs that kryptonite in his life. He needs to get broken down, and the kryptonite is the representation of Jesus. Like, you need Jesus, bro, in this whole season that you're going through, man. And that kryptonite is gonna keep you humble. You know what I'm saying? So continue seeking Jesus, bro. Receive the edification that you've been given tonight. Ponder on it, pray about it, meditate on it, man. And just know that you're not doing this alone.
I gotta let y'all know that I got 5% battery on my phone left, so I hope we can pray real quick. I don't want it to die.
We can close it out. Jay, what's up?
Yeah.
I don't know. You the
Hey, just before that, really quick, I do appreciate just regardless of however it was delivered or not, I do really appreciate each and every one of y'all for sharing your word. So it was still very beneficial. You know, sometimes it gotta come hard, sometimes it comes soft.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
you man
no,
enough
absolutely.
to take it, dog. You man enough to take it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
Hey, Tariq, what you think about this, bro? Next week. And we glad to have you back, man. We've been missing you, dog. What you think about what you you smiling, okay. What you think about leading the call next week, bro?
Pico the Barge.
You said what?
What you think about leading the call next week, next Monday?
Oh man.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Don't say you'll pray about it, because that means no.
No, man. I'll figure something to preach about. We'll get it on. Absolutely.
No, we don't need you to preach. Just bring a study. Let's study together like we did tonight.
No, man. Because it's always just bring a study. Honestly, Jeremy, this is how I like to talk about. I mean, I use the word, but talk about topics that we do need to understand and edify ourselves, because it's main things that, like, people in general speak about that keep them distracted from the word. Like when people worry about corruption of the church, or how ethnic groups and how Christians or ethnic groups in the religion of Christianity doesn't belong together because of certain history and whatnot. So they use different cases, different things against the word, and then that's what keeps them astray. So
Boy, your phone at 3%.
So for
no, he on low power mode, bro. He on low power mode.
I sure am on low power. So
sometimes
I feel like sometimes we can study the word ourselves, but it's also, can we also speak of certain important things to where when we go out there and we're professing our faith and stating our faith, we're able to speak to brothers that do have so much questions because of certain things that led them away from the church. We can bring them back and say, hey, let's not worry about these small things, and let's really worry about the focus of having a real relationship with Christ. That's something you can never have with any other religion or any other thing, and that's what brought me to Christ. I couldn't have it with Muhammad. And like I said, that's just the way I see it.
Well, bring it, bro.
All right. Bring it, yeah.
You bring it, hop in the ring. We'll bring our boxing gloves. And
you have my number?
No, go ahead and text it to me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, just
man,
so
hey,
you can.
Hey.
So that way I can send out an email. What the focal point of the conversation is going to be. I like to try to give. I don't know if you get the emails, but I'll send out an email.
Hey,
just
can I say something right quick? Say something. Hey man, like, yo, Hey, we are incredibly blessed right now. Like, it's about to be midnight, and we could be doing anything right now. We over here fellowshipping with Yeshua. Like,
Straight
like,
up.
like, think about that, man. We all got past.
Yeah.
We all deal with temptation, and right now we are committing ourselves to one another to glorify the King. And that's not of ourselves. We are doing this because of the influence of the Spirit that's within us. How dope is that? If that's not
I'm proud of
evidence
you
that
guys.
God is real, I don't know what is, dog. Like, we are blessed right now, bro. Like, I just wanted to share that, man, because I just think that's so dope. Like,
Hey, Tyson, just don't go drive nowhere tonight, because we know when you high on the Spirit, and you get pulled over, and then you be
Got the
almost
little
out getting
spirit high. You got the spirit high, Tyson.
Oh, the Spirit high. Could you please get out the car, please? Sir, could you stand up? I am standing up. No. Could you stand up, please?
ooh, y'all roasting.
No.
Y'all roasting.
Got your little fellowship group, okay?
Oh, that I ain't done juice. Okay. All right. So here's what we're gonna do, man. We need to put these prayer requests in the group meet as well, because some guys have fallen off of the call. You know, Moab had to drop off, Ben had to drop off, and some others had to drop off. So make sure that we're letting everybody know how to stand in agreement with us. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have Donovan. I'm gonna have Donovan to close us out, and I know you'll cover your sister, and we'll bind our hearts in agreement with you. But also be praying, be covering Leon for healing. He said he was under the weather today. So let's cover him, and then anybody else. I'm stating that that I am getting my dream house that God has us at my in-laws, because He's preparing a place for us, not just in heaven but also here in the DFW area. So if you want to come in agreement with that, it's all yours, man.
Father God, I just thank you right now, God, for being together with our brothers, Lord. You said in your word, Lord, that blessed and how great it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It's like the precious ointment, oh God, that fell down Aaron's beard, oh God, and the dew of Hermon. And you said